Chapter 1551. The saber was the tyrant of weapons, boundlessly tyrannical. The sword was the ancestor of all weapons, the sharpest. One could not use the edge of the saber to block the other party's sword. Xiao Chen attacked from below. He gently raised his saber and chopped the incoming sword intent in half. This was the boundless starry heavens, dotted with stars and a picturesque heavenly river. This was also the final battlefield of two outstanding talents. Many people did not know what the outcome of this battle would be. Compared to the demonic god's vast invasion, Chu Chaoyan chose to be more hidden. Although the mysterious phenomenon in the Kunlun continent was strange, most cultivators did not know what was going on. Furthermore, they did not know that a battle that would decide their fate was taking place in the depths of the starry heavens. In fact, not many people knew about the name Chu Chaoyan. However, more and more peak cultivators of the Kunlun realm came to know about this battle. The many sovereign martial emperors and primes of the heavenly starry ocean landed beside Zongtian and the others. They looked at the depths of the starry heavens from a great distance and saw two upright figures. They were like two resplendent stars, making the surrounding starlight appear much dimmer, unable to cover up the sharpness of these two. Xiao Chen and Chu Chaoyan both stored up their auras, locking their gazes on each other, not wanting to miss out on any detail. Vaguely, there was an invisible clash between the two of them. This resulted in the divine item that the Tianwu Emperor left buzzing and trembling continuously. Xiao Chen did not dare to attack rashly because he did not have a deep understanding of Chu Chaoyan. He had not fought with Chu Chaoyan for so many years. Xiao Chen did not know Chu Chaoyan's strength or combat style, so he could only wait and see. As the two faced off, their auras soared. Whoosh! The moment their auras reached their peak, Chu Chaoyan made the first move. He thrust his sword forward, gathering all his aura at the tip of his sword. His movements were like flowing water, incredibly smooth. His grasp of timing was very precise. However, the most brilliant thing was his understanding of the sword. The strength of the sword lay in its sharpness. It was indestructible and could break through anything. Chu Chaoyan was able to instantly gather all his aura at the tip of his sword without any gaps. It was sufficient to show that his attainments in the sword Dao had already attained perfection. The strength of the saber lay in its tyranny and violence. However, a tyrannical aura was not something that could be achieved in one go. He needed to keep accumulating, and the more he fought, the stronger he would become. Of course, if the opponent was weaker, he would have the advantage right from the start. There was no need for him to accumulate his strength, so it didn't count. Xiao Chen was the #1 saber cultivator of the current Kunlun sect. He understood this principle better than anyone else. The best choice was to retreat, temporarily avoid the sharp edge, and wait for an opportunity to strike. However, when faced with Chu Chaoyan's most advantageous attack, he absolutely could not retreat. Once he retreated, there would be no chance for him to make a comeback. Even if they were at a disadvantage, they absolutely could not retreat. There was only one word: fight. Before the sword arrived, the sword aura had already arrived. This sharp sword aura blew Xiao Chen's long hair backward. The cold light at the tip of the sword grew closer and closer to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen shouted ferociously and chopped down with his saber. At the crucial moment, his saber coincidentally met the tip of the sword. Chi! The saber and sword clashed, and sparks flew. The two exchanged glances, both seeing the sharp light in each other's eyes. Xiao Chen forcefully blocked this thrust. He felt his hand, which held his saber, go slightly numb. Blood seeped out of his palm. Needless to say, he was clearly at a disadvantage in this exchange. In such a situation, Chu Chaoyan clearly held the upper hand. He should not have clashed head-on. I thought that I had already improved very quickly. Unexpectedly, you were still able to keep up with me. Chu Chaoyan, it looks like you have suffered a lot in the past few years, Xiao Chen said indifferently. Although he was at a disadvantage, he could not lose his momentum. Chu Chaoyan's lips curled up slightly. He smiled and said, "This is talent. It is not something that can be achieved just by suffering. Take another sword strike from me." Right after Chu Chaoyan spoke, he twisted his wrist slightly. His sword aura did not decrease, continuing to stab at Xiao Chen's forehead. At such a close distance, Chu Chaoyan could easily send out a second sword strike. However, Xiaochen would find it difficult to send out another saber strike to block the cold light at the tip of the sword that had yet to fade. Because there was nowhere to store energy, Xiaochen could not execute his saber aura smoothly. It was like an assassin using a dagger to get close to him, preventing him from using a long weapon. Oh no! He cannot dodge this sword strike. Emperor Forsaken, who was watching from a distance, exclaimed. He started to worry for Xiaochen. What an incredible swordsman! It is hard to imagine that the Kunlun realm has such a strong sword Dao expert. Even though Ing Zongtian did not like Chu Chaoyan, he had to acknowledge Chu Chaoyan's attainments in the sword Dao. Xiaochen can only retreat. The heaven-punishing corpse god shook his head slightly. Being at a disadvantage right from the start was not a good sign. Dang! However, to everyone's surprise, Xiaochen blocked this sword strike and still sent out another saber strike. Xiaochen spun around at an unimaginable speed. Then when he turned around, he sent out a dangerous saber strike. To most people, Xiaochen did not move at all. They only saw a saber light blocking that sword strike in an incredible fashion. After the second sword strike was blocked, the aura gathered at the tip of Chu Chaoyan's sword slowly dispersed. The sharpness of the sword strike was significantly weaker than it was at the start. At this moment, Xiaochen finally turned the disadvantageous situation into a draw. Metallic clangs rang out continuously. Before the sword strike faded completely, Chu Chaoyan chose to attack quickly. Sword images filled the sky like a storm, charging at Xiaochen. Xiaochen fought steadily, countering the moves as they came. In just a few breaths, the two exchanged 100 moves. A strong saber intent and sword intent spread out continuously as the saber and sword clashed. The saber intent turned into resplendent light that could be seen clearly from far away. The metallic clangs of the saber and sword clashing formed a storm-like melody. It stirred the heart and made one's blood surge. This was the most exciting melody in the world. As the saber and sword clashed, the instant the two brushed past each other, a mysterious phenomenon appeared behind them. A flawless moon appeared behind Xiaochen. Under the moon was a vast sea with dragons hidden in the water. A powerful imperial city stood behind Chu Chaoyan. The imperial banners fluttered on the city walls, commanding the world. The two were still evenly matched. Neither side showed any signs of being at a disadvantage. The two brushed past each other. The probing had already ended. Next, it was time to fight to the death with full power. Dao! Xiaochen shouted, and Dao Might appeared. A Dao disc appeared behind him, giving off a faint light. Carrying a boundless Dao Might, Xiaochen soared into the air and took the initiative to hack down with his saber. Dao! Who knew? Chu Chaoyan shouted, and a Dao disc appeared behind him as well. He had also comprehended the great Dao energy of the sword Dao, and was not much weaker than Xiaochen. The saber and sword clashed in the air again. Blood leaked out of the two's mouths as they looked at each other in surprise. Xiaochen spun around, and the Taiji saber domain appeared. His body hid in the Taiji saber domain. Holding his saber, he charged over once more. The yin and yang energies in the Taiji diagram under Xiaochen's feet each turned into a saber dragon. One was bright and one was dark, appearing and disappearing. Chu Chaoyan pushed off with his feet, and light and darkness flickered around his body, forming a black and white sword domain. The two started fighting again. The Taiji saber domain and the black and white sword domain merged, clashing endlessly, clashing intensely. They were like two huge, invisible gears that merged together but spun in different directions. Ka, ka, ka. The sounds of the clash shook the air. Everyone who heard it felt their hearts tremble, reaching deep into their souls. These two are truly evenly matched. With their cultivation of the saber and the sword, it is hard to tell who is stronger. Indeed, it is hard to say who will win and who will lose in this battle. I really wonder, where did this Chu Chaoyan suddenly come from? He is so inconceivably strong. He is the Tianwu Emperor's descendant. Everything is easy to explain. Don't forget, 10,000 years ago, it was the last Tianwu Emperor who severely injured the Qing Emperor, giving the Thunder King the opportunity to sneak attack. The breathtaking battle in the distance deeply shocked all the spectating primes and sovereign martial emperors. Be it Xiaochen or Chu Chaoyan, Their attainments in the way of the saber and the sword far surpassed that of their peers in the Kunlun realm. The exquisite martial techniques they displayed already baffled some of the primes, who could not understand their true profoundness. Chapter 1552. Up in the starry heavens, the battle between Xiaochun and Chu Chaoyun grew increasingly intense. The Taiji saber domain and the black and white sword domain layered over each other. Countless sabers and swords made of light soared up from the overlapping domains. The two exchanged 1,000 moves, but neither managed to gain a clear advantage. As the two exchanged attacks, they brought out the advantages of the saber Dao and the sword Dao to their fullest. Both sides had reached the peak of their respective saber Dao and sword Dao in the Kunlun realm. They were stuck at the same bottleneck. This was due to the Kunlun realm status, which could not compare to the outside world. If the two went to the outside world, their vast accumulations would allow them to quickly break through their respective bottlenecks. However, right now it was clear that the two could not break through their bottlenecks. Just by relying on their saber techniques and sword techniques, it would be hard to determine a victor. Light and darkness fusion. Yin and yang as one. Chu Chaoyun shouted, and the two extreme energies merged in the black and white sword domain. Suddenly his body burst forth with alternating black and white light. This looked extremely strange. A sword light flashed as it shot towards Xiaochun. Xiaochun did not show any weakness. The Taiji saber domain under his feet quickly merged with the two saber dragons, one bright and one dark. The saber dragons coiled around the saber and blocked the sword light of the other party's black and white sword domain. Boom! The two great killing moves clashed. It was like a star exploding, forming a horrifying shockwave that surged out. Xiaochun quickly retreated. However, the shockwave still struck him, causing him to vomit a mouthful of blood. Then he pushed off a meteor and stood firmly. However, Chu Chaoyun was more severely injured than Xiaochun. His long hair was disheveled, and saber wounds covered his body. Occasionally, black qi poured out to heal these saber wounds. However, its recovery speed could not compare to Xiaochun's Azure Dragon War body. It was slightly inferior. Xiaochun raised his head and looked at the other party. Then he said indifferently, "It looks like your physical body is really your burden." Burden? A strange look flashed in Chu Chaoyun's eyes. He did not deny it or admit it. Perhaps. However, this will not stop me from defeating you. The limitless sword Dao, sword traversing the sky. Chu Chaoyun also walked a different path. Unlike Xiaochun's flawless saber Dao, his limitless sword Dao was extremely pure. The so-called Wuji was boundless and limitless. It implied that his sword Dao was boundless and endless. With this sword Dao as the core, he also created his own limitless sword technique. One sword across the sky. This was the first move of the limitless sword technique. With a flash of sword light, Chu Chaoyun charged over with his sword in hand. When the sword was drawn, it locked down the 9 heavens and completely froze the space. In an instant, Xiaochun felt that the space around him had been locked by a sword aura. Imperceptibly, it formed a prison that locked him up and prevented him from moving. Breaking. Flawless saber technique, void-breaking stance. After executing the first move of the flawless saber technique, Xiaochun turned the tables and suddenly vanished. When Xiaochun reappeared, he released a resplendent saber light from his body, tearing through the air. Limitless sword Dao, 1,000 turns and 100 turns. Chu Chaoyun quickly changed his move, and his figure turned blurry. The sword light was ethereal and formless. Xiaochun's spiritual sense could not immediately lock onto the other party, much less make a move. When looking around, it looked like the other party's body was floating in a winding corridor, crisscrossing each other, creating a sense of spatial confusion. Limitless sword Dao, 10,000 swords become one. Chu Chaoyun took advantage of the moment when Xiaochun's aura was exhausted and his move was already over to charge back with his sword. After thousands of turns, the countless figures merged and turned into a sharp sword stabbing at Xiaochun. This sword strike was too fast, too ruthless, and too accurate. Xiaochun did not have time to change his move. He could only hold his saber horizontally in front of him to block this sword strike. Dang! Amid the clanging sounds, Xiaochun nearly lost his grip on his saber, forcing him to retreat quickly. No matter how strong your physical body is, If you keep getting beaten up, you can only lose. Chu Chaoyan smiled faintly. Then he took advantage of Xiao Chen's mistake and chased after him while holding his sword. The sword move was sharp and indestructible. The starry sword light flew at Xiao Chen like a torrential storm. Ding, ding, ding. They were like raindrops landing on the ground, giving off a continuous, melodious sound. With one mistake, Xiao Chen was pushed back again and again. Countless stars flashed by the two. The stars did not move, but the two were too fast. The stars looked like reflections, flashing rapidly. Chu Chaoyan's sword moves became increasingly ruthless. He only had one chance. He could not give Xiao Chen a chance to turn things around. Otherwise, his momentum would plummet, and his sword would lose its sharpness. Xiao Chen remained calm, not flustered at all. Right now, he had many ways to counter the other party. However, for some reason he did not really want to do so. Just based on the saber and the sword, the two should be evenly matched. Their attainments were about the same. It all depended on who made the first mistake. However, with other factors, Xiao Chen held too much of an advantage over Chu Chaoyan. Be it the Ice Blood Lightning Dragon, the Dragon Blood Soul-Breaking Finger, Dermic World, or the Divine Lightning Eye, they could all allow Xiao Chen to turn things around in an instant. Up until now, Xiao Chen had thoroughly figured out his opponent's strength. Chu Chaoyan's cultivation was at peak prime. However, he also cultivated the demonic race's cultivation techniques. Hence, he could contend with Xiao Chen alone. Chu Chaoyan's sword skills were about the same as Xiao Chen's saber skills. It was hard to say who was superior. Chu Chaoyan's trump card was the state of primal chaos, a state even stronger than the state of cycle. Before primal chaos split, there was no day or night. There was no time, no space, and no cycle. However, from the very start, Xiao Chen discovered that the merger of light and darkness was not perfect. The reason was that Chu Chaoyan's state of light and state of darkness needed to be perfected. Primal chaos was not as simple as light and darkness. He had forcefully fused them completely by relying on his own willpower. Perhaps that willpower was his greatest trump card. It could allow him to go further and fly higher. Of course, that was under the condition that he could leave the Kunlun realm. However, right now Chu Chaoyan forcefully raised himself to a higher level. Compared to Xiao Chen, who fought steadily, advancing step by step, Chu Chaoyan was like a tall, dangerous building. Since Xiao Chen knows his own situation, why does he still want to fight me? Whoosh! As Xiao Chen pondered, he became distracted. Then Chu Chaoyan stabbed his sword into Xiao Chen's chest. A black and white light flowed out of the sword and quickly entered Xiao Chen's body. The muscles and bones around Xiao Chen's wound immediately rotted. Blue Dragon King, you are distracted. Chu Chaoyan said indifferently as he looked at Xiao Chen's chest. Xiao Chen nodded and said, I am indeed distracted. I just figured out why you insisted on fighting me. Xiao Chen nodded and said, I was indeed distracted. I just figured out why you insisted on fighting me. A smile appeared on Chu Chaoyan's face as he said calmly, no one has ever been able to guess my thoughts. Very well. Before I kill you, let me hear you out. If you guess correctly, I will not stab you with this sword. The tip of the sword stabbed into Xiao Chen's body pressed against Xiao Chen's chest, releasing strands of black sword chi. Strands of black sword chi surged out from the tip of the sword and wrapped around Xiao Chen's chest. As long as Chu Chaoyan wanted to, he could crush Xiao Chen's heart at any time. Do you really want to say it? I feel that it is better to prove it with my actions. Chu Chaoyan was slightly stunned. Before he could react, he saw 3 purple petals spinning in his eyes. When the petals layered over each other, the power of the tribulation lightning instantly descended. Chu Chaoyan was immediately blasted away. His clothes were tattered, and electricity flickered all over his body. Ice Blood Lightning Dragon. A berserk tricolor dragon appeared in Xiao Chen's left palm. As the wind blew, it charged at Chu Chaoyan, who was injured by the tribulation lightning. Pussy eye. Chu Chaoyan vomited a mouthful of blood on the spot. His internal organs ruptured, and he fell weakly onto a small planet. It was not over yet. Xiao Chen's body trembled slightly as he executed Dermic World. Then his huge body stomped on the small planet. Rumble. The small planet shattered on the spot. Chu Chaoyan was in a sorry state. All the bones in his body were shattered, and he no longer had any combat prowess. Chu Chaoyan lay on a rather large piece of the small planet. Right now he did not even have the strength to stand up. Dermic world vanished, and Xiaochen pulled out the sword at his chest and casually tossed it aside. Xiaochen's figure flashed, and he landed on the asteroid. Then he looked at Chu Chaoyan coldly and asked, "Am I right?" Chapter 1553. On the Shattered Meteor. Xiaochen looked at Chu Chaoyan and said indifferently, "You should know my strength. Before I entered the Blue Dragon Palace, I might not be as strong as you. However, after I entered the Blue Dragon Palace and obtained the bloodline inheritance, I broke through the shackles of Prime. No one in the Kunlun realm is a match for me. Since a long time ago, you said that there would be a battle between you and me. Even though you knew that you were no longer as strong as me, you stubbornly insisted on fighting me. In the past, I could not understand it. Just now, I finally understood why. In the end, deep in your heart, you were still unwilling to destroy the entire Kunlun realm to fulfill your wish. If you really wanted to achieve your goal, the battle between me and the demonic god would have been your best opportunity. However, you did not. This means that from the very start, your greatest goal was not to destroy the Kunlun realm. What are you trying to do? You are seeking death." Towards the end, Xiaochen's voice became heavier as he enunciated every word. When Chu Chaoyan heard that, he was slightly stunned. Then he smiled and said, "You are right. Do it then. Borrow your hands to kill me. That way, I will feel more at ease and not feel too guilty toward those remnant elders of the dynasty." Xiaochen did not make a move. He said indifferently, "However, I do not understand why you seek death so much." Chu Chaoyan remained expressionless, his eyes numb. He said calmly, "I'm tired. Do it. I have been waiting for this day for a long time already. I can only say that Xiaochen, you have not disappointed me." Xiaochen looked at Chu Chaoyan, feeling that he was very pitiful. Who could avoid death in this world? However, some people were not born to live but to seek death. You seek death wholeheartedly and have no regrets. Regrets? None. After I merged the 3,000 lower realms, no one above Emperor Wu can enter. Only the people inside can come out. The people outside cannot enter. The Tianwu dynasty is already established. Those remnant elders like to dream, so I will give them a dream. I've already done what I promised Leng Yu. He had also fulfilled the dying wish of the last Tianwu emperor, the Tianwu emperor, to fight with you. I, Chu Chaoyan, have nothing to regret." Seeing the other party's calm expression, Xiaochen said indifferently, "You are lying. Do you not want to leave and ask the first-generation Tianwu emperor why he abandoned you?" Hearing this, Chu Chaoyan smiled and said, "To be honest, this is the reason I am most unwilling to live. You don't know how powerful he is, and you don't know how terrifying his background is." After pausing for a while, Chu Chaoyan revealed a self-mocking expression. He was not a person of the Kunlun realm in the first place. The establishment of the Tianwu dynasty was his springboard to leave the Kunlun realm. He has never cared about the survival of the Tianwu dynasty. They are just tools for him. Xiaochen felt somewhat astonished. He had not expected the Tianwu emperor to have such a secret. "Send me on my way. I no longer have any regrets. I am really tired," Chu Chaoyan said again, getting Xiaochen to make a move. Xiaochen remained silent for a long time. Just as Chu Chaoyan gave up and prepared to make a move himself, a force suddenly restricted his body. It was Xiaochen. He made a move, but he did not kill Chu Chaoyan. Instead, he treated his injuries. Xiaochen was a prime in the first place. His injuries recovered very quickly. With the help of an external force, his recovery was even faster. Just as Chu Chaoyan's injuries were about to recover, Xiaochen waved his hand, and the divine item that the Tianwu emperor left behind appeared in his hand. Chu Chaoyan's expression changed slightly. "What are you trying to do?" "Nothing much. I'm just sending you out of this abandoned land. There are some things that you have to ask personally. When you are outside and truly have no regrets, we can have a good fight. In this life, one cannot live for others. Chu Chaoyan, don't disappoint me. I do not have many true opponents in this life. Xiaochen controlled Chu Chaoyan and got him to activate the divine item. The palm-sized sword immediately merged with Chu Chaoyan's body. A vigorous energy started to erupt in Chu Chaoyan's body. His clothes fluttered about, and he had a malevolent expression. Clearly he was in pain. Black lines appeared on Chu Chaoyan's face, looking like tentacles about to come out. These were the side effects of the clash of light and darkness. Xiao. A sharp sword light shot out from Chu Chaoyan's body. Caught off guard, Xiaochen went flying. The divine item slowly melted in Chu Chaoyan's body, suppressing the powers of darkness and light. Chu Chaoyan soared into the air, and a melodious sword hum came from his body. With a buzz, he broke the barrier of a world. Chu Chaoyan turned into a resplendent light, lighting up the entire boundless starry heavens. Boundless radiance radiated out from Chu Chaoyan's body. As the light spread out, all the stars in the starry heavens dimmed. At this moment, all the cultivators in the Kunlun continent saw a strange scene. In the pitch-black sky, only a resplendent star was shining brightly. Chu Chaoyan's body rose continuously. It felt like the entire world was getting further and further away from him. At this moment, the situation was already set. The restriction that Xiaochen left in Chu Chaoyan's body no longer existed. However, Chu Chaoyan could not change the situation of being brought out of this world by the divine item. Chu Chaoyan searched for Xiaochen's figure in the pitch-black space. Xiaochen's figure and appearance slowly turned blurry in his vision. In life, one cannot always live for others, Chu Chaoyan muttered to himself, mulling over Xiaochen's words. In hindsight, Chu Chaoyan seemed to be in control of the situation at all times, devising strategies. Everything, no matter how big or small, was under his control. Everything went according to his plans. However, in this life, Chu Chaoyan indeed lived only for others. He lived for the dying wishes of the last Tianwu emperor, for the remnant elders of the dynasty. It seemed like he never truly lived for himself. Xiaochen, I promise you, when I have no regrets, I will truly fight you again. After making up his mind, a brilliant light flashed in Chu Chaoyan's eyes. Then he vanished from this starry heavens, leaving this abandoned land. The instant Chu Chaoyan left, the starry heavens returned to normal. The stars filling the sky lit up one by one, and the night returned to calm. However, just at this moment, the heavenly Tao mercilessly erased all traces of Chu Chaoyan's existence in this world. Many of the primes and martial emperors watching the battle showed confused expressions, not knowing what happened. Only Xiaochen failed again when the heavenly Tao tried to erase all memories of Chu Chaoyan from his mind. This was the same as when the heavenly Tao tried to erase all memories of Lu Riyue from Xiaochen's mind after Lu Riyue left. It failed again. Everyone forgot about Chu Chaoyan's existence. Everything related to him was erased without a trace. It was like this person had never existed in the first place. The heavenly Tao was merciless. No wonder everyone questioned whether there was a peak above prime. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The various primes and sovereign martial emperors found Xiaochen and quickly asked him what happened. Xiaochen wanted to explain. However, the moment he opened his mouth, he felt his entire body tremble. Countless strands of strange killing intent descended from the sky, firmly locking down on him. If he spoke, he would definitely be killed. Xiaochen smiled bitterly. The heavenly Tao was not just merciless, it was simply heartless. Since that was the case, there was no need to explain. Xiaochen casually brushed it off. Xiaochen glanced in the direction where Chu Chaoyan had disappeared before turning around and flying back to the Kunlun continent. 3 months later, the Blue Dragon Totem was completed. Then Xiaochen visited all his friends in the Kunlun realm. This was the last time he met with everyone before he left. His first senior sister, by Wu Xiaotian, Ingzong Tianyu Bingyan. He visited all his friends that he had interacted with before. The Deep Abyss demonic world was Xiaochen's final stop. That was where he met the only demon lord of the demonic world, Leng Yu. There were many places he could not bear to part with and many people he could not forget. However, he still had to leave the Kunlun realm in the end. It was just like what he said to Chu Chaoyan. There were many things that he had to do personally. No matter what Lu Riyue's current situation was, at the very least, in Xiaochen's heart, His former master was the person he loved the most in his life. Many words lingered in his ears like it was yesterday. Even if Xiao Chen hid his feelings in the depths of his heart forever, not touching them or thinking about them, that person was irreplaceable in his heart. This was an undeniable fact. Before Xiao Chen left, he entered the Blue Dragon Palace one last time. Big Brother Dragon and the other item spirits had been waiting for a long time already. Chapter 1554. You are leaving? The old dragon horse was the first to speak, guessing Xiao Chen's purpose in coming. Xiao Chen nodded. He had already done what he needed to do and met all the people he needed to meet. He needed to leave the Kunlun realm, be it to search for Lu Riyue, or to climb to the peak of the martial Dao. He needed to leave this abandoned land. Big Brother Dragon Horse and the others were not surprised. However, there were some things that needed to be explained. The young girl behind him took out a spatial ring. Xiao Chen received it and sent in his spiritual sense. He discovered that it contained crystal stones flickering with a blue light, looking very crystalline. Such crystals felt like they had the aura of primordial energy. However, they were purer and more condensed. What is this? Xiao Chen asked as he withdrew his spiritual sense and looked at the young woman. I can feel the presence of primordial energy in this. However, it is much purer. The young woman explained. This is spirit jade, a natural ore in the outside world. Cultivators use this to trade. The so-called primordial energy of the Kunlun realm is actually innate spiritual energy in the outside world. When cultivators reach the innate realm, they can absorb it. Spirit jade grows underground. It takes hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of years for a spirit jade vein to form. After such a long time of accumulation, the spiritual energy in the spirit jade is naturally much purer than the innate spiritual energy in the world. Big Brother Dragon Horse continued. There are about 2 million spirit jades in this spatial ring. The blue dragon bloodline declined, so I can only give you this much. The rest is to maintain the operation of the Blue Dragon Palace. Xiao Chen put away the spatial ring and thanked the old man. Big Brother Dragon, you are too polite. In reality, Big Brother Dragon Horse was indeed too polite. After Xiao Chen left, he would understand how precious spirit jades were. Furthermore, what Big Brother Dragon Horse gave Xiao Chen were all high-quality superior-grade spirit jades. The azure-clad man stepped forward and handed an ancient book to Xiao Chen. He said, "This is the book of the epics. Most sects in the outside world give it to their disciples. Keep it well. It introduces the various things of the martial epoch, such as what cultivation realms there are after the veritable essence realm. There are many factions in the martial epoch. Some of the larger factions and sects have records of them." Xiao Chen took it and casually flipped through a few pages. It was a simplified version of an encyclopedia. Although it was not a secret manual, it was the most suitable for him at the moment. After leaving the Kunlun realm, he would not be clueless. Next, the artifact spirits took out some more precious personal items and left them to Xiao Chen. They were all Xian weapons used to save Xiao Chen's life at a critical moment. Finally, the old dragon horse handed a jade pendant to Xiao Chen to wear. As he placed the jade pendant on his chest, an ice-cold aura flowed out of the jade pendant and poured into Xiao Chen's body. Xiao Chen immediately felt a lot better, as his aura was greatly suppressed. On the surface of the jade pendant was an ancient Buddha sitting on a lotus platform with a serene expression. On the back were the words Jingxin. This was originally a Buddhist amulet. Later, someone polished it into jade. Although its shape changed, its effects remain the same. It can calm the mind and calm the heart. Of course, the most important thing is that it withdraws its aura. It can reduce the Black Lotus Seal's aura to the minimum. The Dragon Horse Big Brother had put in a lot of effort. In reality, he was the one who carved the original Buddhist amulet. For the sake of helping Xiao Chen suppress the Black Lotus Seal, the Dragon Horse Big Brother strengthened the effect of the jade pendant's aura withdrawing. However, you have to remember that this jade pendant cannot completely suppress the Black Lotus Seal. You still have to be careful. When Xiao Chen felt the Dragon King's concern, he thanked him solemnly. This could be considered to have resolved his greatest hidden danger. Thinking about what the Thunder King said before he died, Xiaochen could not truly feel at ease leaving the Kunlun realm. If the Black Lotus Church surrounded Xiaochen the moment he left, that would be too unjust. I would like to ask Big Brother Dragon, where does the White Dragon race stay? Xiaochen had not forgotten his greatest purpose in coming to the Blue Dragon Palace. The Dragon Horse Big Brother replied sullenly, "That is simple. Just go out and ask around, and you will know. However, I believe that the person you are looking for will not be in the White Dragon race's territory. Who would be willing to pay such a high price to pull your friend out of the abandoned land? There is only one reason. Your friend's bloodline is extremely special and has great potential. Such a genius would normally be in Ancestor Dragon City. That is where the demonic geniuses of the various dragon race bloodlines gather. The resources there are the most, and the competition is the most intense. Ancestor Dragon City. Xiaochen thought to himself, it looks like Lu Ruyue is most likely in this Ancestor Dragon City. As for where Ancestor Dragon City was, Xiaochen did not ask. He knew nothing about the outside world. Even if he told Xiaochen, it would be hard for him to understand. Now that he knew the name, he would just ask around in the future. Seniors, Xiaochen will take his leave first. I will leave the Kunlun Realm's Dragon's Gate to you. Xiaochen walked to the palace doors and performed a cupped fist salute. The Dragon Horse Big Brother smiled and said, "Don't worry. I think that last Mo Chen will be qualified to push open the palace doors soon. The Dragon's Gate's recovery will be faster than you think. Take care on your journey." The group sent off Xiaochen with their eyes, feeling somewhat regretful in their hearts. Xiaochen carried their expectations. Only when Xiaochen became the Dragon Emperor would the Blue Dragon bloodline truly flourish. However, to become the Dragon Emperor, Xiaochen would have to face not only the various demonic geniuses and geniuses of the dragon race, but also the inheritors of the other great desolate 100 races, and the many ancient holy lands. The pressure of such competition was much greater than in the Kunlun realm. Once Xiaochen left this Kunlun realm, he would welcome the entire martial epoch. The abandoned land of the thousands of great realms was not even a drop in the ocean. At the foot of Kunlun Mountain, Yingzongtian, Emperor Forsaken, and the other primes and sovereign martial emperors of the Kunlun realm were waiting. When Xiaochen's good friends learned that Xiaochen was coming to challenge the Kunlun Road, they had been waiting for him for a long time to send him off. "Come look. The Blue Dragon King is here." As the sun set, a white figure flew towards the foot of the mountain at lightning speed. This was Xiaochen, who had come out of the Blue Dragon Palace. "Little brother Xiaochen, this Kunlun Road has always been known as the Road to Death. For several tens of thousands of years, no one in the Kunlun realm has dared to challenge it. Today, it all depends on you." Yingzongtian glanced at the people at the side before turning his head to speak to Xiaochen. Xiaochen took out a jade strip and handed it to Yingzongtian. "This jade strip contains a strand of my will, a tenth of my strength. If I die, this jade strip will shatter. If I do not die, the will in the jade strip will grow stronger as my main body grows stronger." Yingzongtian put away the jade strip and said, "Take care of yourself. I hope that you can make a trip back while I am alive. Tell Big Brother what the outside world is like." Xiaochen said seriously, "I definitely will." After a simple exchange with the people he was familiar with, Xiaochen stepped onto the Kunlun Road alone, heading for the unknown world. As the heaven-punishing corpse god watched Xiaochen's back, he muttered, "I wonder if he can succeed or not. After all, this is the Kunlun Road." There were too many legends about the Kunlun Road. No matter how strong Xiaochen was, everyone still worried for him. The Kunlun Palace's palace master said, "Don't worry. It will be much easier for Xiaochen to clear this Kunlun Road than we expected. He has been suppressing his strength all this while. When he reaches the Kunlun Road, he will not have to continue suppressing it." When everyone heard this, they were startled. Right now, Xiaochen's strength was already very horrifying. Unexpectedly, this was still not Xiaochen's limit. On the mountain path, Xiaochen, who was about to enter the clouds, suddenly turned around. His gaze landed on Bai, Mo Chen, first senior sister, and Yu Bingyun. "Sorry, I finally have some free time, and now I have to leave alone again." Xiaochen was not a heartless person. He and Bai had depended on each other for many years, and their relationship was the deepest. First senior sister was the person who took care of him the most since he came to the Kunlun realm. Mo Chen established the Dragon's Gate and helped him the most. Yu Bingyan was someone who had gone through thick and thin with him, a confidant who had gone through life and death with him. Xiao Chen could not bear to part with each of them. He swore to himself that he would return to the Kunlun realm one day. Not for himself, but for these people that he could not bear to part with. Chapter 1555. The main peak of Kunlun Mountain towered into the clouds. No one knew what lay beyond the summit. They only knew that it was a path to heaven, a path that led to the outside world, a path to escape this abandoned land. Since ancient times, there had been too many legends about the path to heaven. However, no matter how they spread, there was not much useful information. Xiao Chen's figure entered the clouds, completely vanishing from everyone's sight. The instant he passed through the clouds, Xiao Chen's body felt relaxed for some reason. It was like the restrictions he was born with in his body disappeared. Xiao Chen understood that the heavenly Tao could no longer affect this place. The laws could no longer restrict him. After calming himself, Xiao Chen continued forward. The mountain path was rugged. Slowly, the environment on both sides changed at some point in time. The clouds were no longer there. Both sides were empty. There were many spatial storms in the empty space. When the countless spatial shards blew by, they flew around like shards of glass. As Xiao Chen walked on the mountain path, he felt the might of the spatial shards. He no longer dared to underestimate them, so he carefully avoided these spatial shards. The spatial shards here were on a completely different level from those in the Kunlun realm. The space here was clearly of a higher level. For example, it was like the difference between the Sky Dome realm and the Kunlun realm. This place should be a transition point between the Kunlun realm and the outside world. The space in the outside world should be of a higher level. Earlier, a spatial shard passed by Xiao Chen. He had been somewhat careless. Who could have imagined that it would leave a 1 centimeter deep wound when it passed by him? It was very scary. Xiao Chen looked at the summit. He did not know how long he would have to walk to the peak. Furthermore, he did not dare to fly here. As he walked, the danger of getting cut by the spatial shards would increase. If he were unlucky and got swallowed up by a spatial storm, Xiao Chen did not dare to imagine that scene. No wonder this Kunlun road was also known as a dead end. Clenching his teeth, Xiao Chen walked forward step by step, carefully avoiding the spatial shards. If he could not avoid them, he would use his saber to chop them apart. As the top bladesman of the Kunlun realm, Xiao Chen's skills with the saber had already reached great heights. Sometimes, when he could not chop the spatial shards apart, he would use force to break them. Oh no! A spatial storm passed above Xiao Chen without any warning. A strong suction pulled his body down. Blue Dragon Divine Wings. Greatly startled, Xiao Chen quickly unfurled his Blue Dragon Divine Wings and struggled against the suction of the spatial storm. Xiao Chen's body spun continuously under the spatial storm, unable to control it. In the spatial storm, many spatial shards flew over. Fortunately, Xiao Chen's movement technique, the fish dragon art, was very proficient in dodging over a short distance. Otherwise, even if they weren't pulled into the storm, they would be cut into pieces by the spatial fragments. When the spatial storm drifted away from his head, his body landed on the ground. Cassier. It sounded like something had shattered. The startled Xiao Chen looked down and saw a rotting corpse. He did not know how long it had been there. His original sovereign body had already completely decayed, and he crushed it with a single stomp when he landed. Beside his palm, there was a rusty broken knife. "I'm sorry, senior. It was unintentional," Xiao Chen said softly. This was a senior bladesman whom he had accidentally crushed. For this senior to be able to leave a corpse on the Kunlun road, and not dismembered on the spot, he must have been a famous person in the Kunlun realm. Sighing, Xiao Chen continued on his way. The rest of the road was littered with skeletons. Every short distance they walked, they would see a skeleton. The pressure on the mountain increased. Slowly, it became difficult to even lift one's feet. However, there was still a long distance to the top. Suddenly, he realized that it had been a long time since he had seen any corpses. Xiao Chen came to his senses and stopped in his tracks. Why weren't there any corpses? Clearly, this was a forbidden zone. Most of the people who charged into this place didn't leave behind any corpses. Wuxia. Suddenly, 3 spatial storms blew over from above. Xiaochen paled slightly. Before Xiaochen could react, he was lifted into the air, flying towards the center of the 3 spatial storms. Xiaochen struggled with all his might. At the same time, he circulated his vital qi. Strands of dragon-shaped energy moved around and gathered into 2 cauldrons. With a loud shout, Xiaochen punched the air 3 times. Each punch boomed like thunder. He used the huge rebound to push himself back. As for the spatial shards flying over, Xiaochen simply ignored them. He could only let these blind shards fly past his body. After punching 10 times, Xiaochen, who had exhausted all his vital qi, finally landed on the ground. Xiaochen's body was covered in wounds, dripping with blood. His white robes were dyed scarlet. His injuries and fatigue prevented Xiaochen from continuing forward. He could only stop to rest and recover from his injuries, recuperating his vital qi. Even when resting, Xiaochen had to be careful. He looked around and paid attention at all times, unable to relax. This was because the spatial storms here did not follow any pattern. It looked like the summit was less than a kilometer away. However, for some reason, Xiaochen felt that it was a very, very distant place. After that, with every step he took, he would experience 3, even 4 spatial storms. Toward the end, there would be even more terrifying spatial tiers. These spatial tiers would close instantly. If he was not careful and got pulled in, he did not know when he would come out again. It might be 100 years later, or it might be a lifetime. On this 1 kilometer path, Xiaochen took 3 steps forward and took 1 step back. He even had to rest midway, walking for more than 40 days. After almost 1.5 months, he finally arrived at the summit. This period of time was truly a nightmare. In the future, Xiaochen would not want to recall this experience. It was too torturous. Xiaochen turned his head back and looked at the Kunlun road, entering deep thought. Even Xiaochen was in such a sorry state. If the primes of the Kunlun realm wanted to take this path, they would die for sure. This path should not be so difficult. It was practically a path of death. Something must have happened, resulting in such difficulty. Perhaps the people of the Black Lotus Church really did something to it. Xiaochen withdrew his gaze. There was no longer any path ahead. He looked up and saw a huge spatial whirlpool in the distant sky. Is this the spatial tunnel to leave the Kunlun realm? Xiaochen muttered to himself, looking travel-worn as he looked at that spatial whirlpool. Go. Xiaochen pushed off the ground and did not hesitate to fly towards that spatial whirlpool. At this final step, it was much safer. He did not run into any trouble as he ascended. However, just as Xiaochen was about to reach the spatial whirlpool, something strange happened. Black lotus flowers flew out of the spatial whirlpool and quickly formed a huge hand that smashed at Xiaochen. A strong force gathered in the palm. When the pressure pressed down, Xiaochen felt like he was suffocating. Sharp spirit finger. With this finger, Xiaochen retreated quickly. Then cracks appeared in that huge black palm. The cracks quickly mended, but the palm continued to descend on him, wanting to squash him to death. Flawless saber technique, cloud-reaching stance. Xiaochen did not hesitate to execute the flawless saber technique's cloud-reaching stance. Lofty aspirations surged in Xiaochen's chest. His blood surged as he soared into the sky. Kasie. The saber struck that huge palm, and cracks spread out again. Ice blood lightning dragon. Ice attributed and lightning attributed energies merged in Xiaochen's left palm. A drop of blood dripped from his palm, and a berserk tricolor dragon appeared. Then the wind blew and the huge palm ferociously smashed into it. After a series of strikes, the huge black palm suddenly scattered, turning into many lotus flowers drifting in the air. Xiaochen's heart sank. To think that the lotus flowers were not destroyed and still showed signs of regathering. However, the speed of regathering was extremely slow. Xiaochen thought to himself, indeed the Black Lotus Church did something. Aside from me, no one in the Kunlun realm can block that earlier strike. Xiaochen wanted to completely destroy these lotus flowers. However, after trying a few times, he discovered that after the lotus flowers shattered, they would still split into countless lotus flowers. This was very similar to the thunder hell that the Thunder King once executed when he possessed the demonic god. This would only slow down the speed of the black lotus flowers regathering. It would not be of much use. Never mind. I'll enter the spatial whirlpool first. Xiaochen shook his head and chose to give up. Then his figure flashed into the spatial whirlpool. Chapter 1556. As his body entered the spatial whirlpool, Xiaochen looked forward. There was only one path in the whirlpool. At the end of the tunnel, a faint light could be seen. After testing it out, Xiaochen discovered that it was very easy to move forward. However, when he moved backward, it felt like the entire world was moving backward. He had only experienced this feeling when he was reversing time and space. Xiaochen entered deep thought. No wonder people said that it was much more difficult for the people of the outside world to enter than for the people of the Kunlun realm to leave. The cultivators of the Kunlun realm only had to deal with those spatial shards and spatial storms. To the experts of the outside world, their realms far surpassed that of a supreme being, so they did not fear the spatial storms at all. However, every step they took in the passageway of the spatial vortex was equivalent to reversing time and space. Although the passageway was not long, it was enough to make one suffer. Furthermore, according to the old dragon horse, the stronger one was, the greater the obstacles one would encounter. Xiaochen was a little worried about what he would do when he returned in the future. However, at this point, it was useless to think about these things. He could only shake his head and brace himself to move forward. Fortunately, the Black Lotus Church did not follow up on this spatial passageway. It would be extremely difficult for the other party to tamper with this spatial passageway. The moment Xiaochen stepped out of the spatial vortex, he looked back and discovered the place he had come from. It was a black whirlpool. The entrance of the whirlpool was like the mouth of a monster. Xiaochen looked around. This place was the resplendent starry heavens, boundless and boundless. He did not see the Kunlun continent. Xiaochen thought for a while. It looked like the Kunlun realm was just a drop in the ocean of this universe, truly an abandoned land. After sensing for a while, Xiaochen found that this starry heavens was very different from the Kunlun realms. Firstly, the level of space was different. Here, one would not be as free as in the starry heavens of the Kunlun realm. He had to constantly consume true essence to maintain himself in the starry sky and not drift away. The spatial pressure was immense, and his speed and strength were greatly restricted. Xiaochen flipped his hand, and the cycle throne appeared. Then he gently landed and sat on it. 7 divine weapons appeared, each guarding a direction, forming a simple formation. Kicking Xiaochen, he resisted the pressure from the starry sky. Sitting on the throne, Xiaochen began to study the book of the epics that the azure-clothed man had left him. He had to understand the outside world as soon as possible. Book of the Epics, the end of the Great Desolate Era. The Great Desolate Continent shattered into countless fragments, and the world entered the Epic Era. The first sentence introduced the origin of the epic, and it immediately drew Xiaochen's attention. There was a lot of novel knowledge that Xiaochen had never come into contact with before. It broadened his horizons, and allowed him to have a new understanding of the universe. In the beginning, the universe was chaotic. There was no heaven and earth. Only then did the heavens and earth split apart, and only then did the boundless great wasteland continent come into existence. It was a post-mythological era where all the races fought for supremacy, and the descendants of the gods and devils appeared. That era was too far away. Only the most ancient records of the 10,000 races in the untainted land had records of that era. As for the chaotic era, that was even more distant. The great desolate continent shattered into pieces. Even the smallest piece was half the size of the Kunlun continent. The billions of pieces formed countless worlds of various sizes. Thousands of worlds formed the epic era that followed. The epic era had risen and fallen for many epochs. After the immortal epoch came the current martial epoch. With the birth of the new epoch, the lands of the old epoch would be excluded from the new epoch, becoming abandoned lands. 3 days later, Xiaochen finally finished reading the book of the epics. Xiaochen let out a long sigh. The Kunlun realm was just a drop in the ocean of this entire world. The outside world was much larger than Xiaochen had imagined, somewhat surpassing his expectations. He now had a certain understanding of the current martial epoch. After the veritable personage realm, there was the primal core realm, the cloud sea realm, the divine vein realm, the faux god realm, and the true god realm. Before the veritable personage realm were the ordinary realm and the innate realm. In the vast sea of people, there were probably billions of people cultivating in the martial epoch. However, most people would remain in the ordinary realm their entire lives. With some talent, they would advance to the innate realm. Only after becoming a connate life form and passing through the 9 heavens of connate could one be called a perfected being. For example, Xiaochen had broken through to the enlightened being realm in his 30s. Even in most places in the outside world, he could be considered an outstanding talent. However, the Book of the Epochs also recorded that the cultivators with the great desolate Ian bloodline had mostly reached the peak of the veritable personage realm at his age. Among them, there were many with outstanding talents who broke through to the perfected being realm. His talent was not bad, but the resources in the land of exile could not be compared to those in the outside world. His years of experience and combat experience were incomparable to the geniuses in the outside world. It couldn't be said that they were truly weaker than each other. Xiaochen thought to himself, I need to find baleful Yin energy quickly and advance to the Yin essence stage. After the Yin essence stage, there was the Yang essence stage. When the 3 essences merged to form the primal core, one could break through from the veritable personage stage to the primal core stage. In the Book of the Epochs, Xiaochen had seen a rough star map left behind by the azure-clothed man. Roaming the starry sky without a star map was equivalent to courting death. Not only were there all sorts of astral beasts in the starry sky, but there were also many astral pirates. More importantly, if a cultivator wanted to move freely in the starry sky, they needed the strength of a primal core realm cultivator. A veritable personage would barely be able to roam the starry sky, but they would not be able to remain in the starry sky for long. The expenditure of veritable essence energy would be too much. Xiaochen recalled the information he saw on the star map. The land of exile, the Kunlun realm, was near the profound light great realm. As for the profound light great realm, it was in the purple sun region. There were at least 1,000 existences similar to the profound light great realm in the purple sun region. Xiaochen needed to make a trip to the profound light great realm first. Firstly, he could scout out the situation there. Secondly, he could search for or purchase some baleful Yin energy. Whoosh! With a thought, Xiaochen used the magic energy in his sea of consciousness to drive the cycle throne to the profound light great realm. The air resistance in the starry sky was very low, allowing one to fly very fast. However, the air here was thin, and the pressure and light were extraordinary. If one was not careful, one might die. Those with lower cultivations than those who had not broken through to the veritable personage realm would not be able to survive in the starry sky. Originally, Xiaochen would find it hard to fly for long in the starry sky. Fortunately, he had the cycle throne, which he could drive with magic energy, saving him a large amount of veritable essence energy. After flying for millions of kilometers, Xiaochen passed by an asteroid belt, and strange sounds came from there. There are many astral beasts in the starry sky. These astral beasts are extremely hard to deal with, and some are extremely strong. This was Xiaochen's first time roaming the starry sky, so he raised his guard. Normally he would not pass by such complicated environments. Instead he would go around them. However, this time, it seemed like he could not avoid them. Suddenly, several black bats flew out of the asteroid belt. They were all huge, looking like strange beasts. Due to the low air resistance in the starry sky, these huge bats moved extremely fast. Furthermore, these bats had strong auras. With one look, it was clear that they were not ordinary astral beasts. Every bat should have the strength of a veritable essence stage cultivator. Xiaochen did not panic. He remained calm, wanting to test the combat prowess of these huge bats. Kill. Pride of the 7 divine weapons tore through the air. A saber light flashed, and a huge bat that bore the brunt of the attack got chopped in half. The saber light contained great Tao energy, making it easy to kill. Clang! Pride returned. leaving behind the corpses of several huge bats in the starry sky. Xiao Chen entered deep thought as he wrapped his fingers on the armrest of the throne. It looks like my combat prowess is completely unrivaled in the veritable essence stage. I think that not many can comprehend Great Tao energy in this cultivation realm. With the support of Great Tao energy, Xiao Chen's strength surpassed that of an ordinary veritable essence stage cultivator. Unfortunately, I did not run into any essence stage astral beasts, so I cannot test out my true limits. Just at this moment, something strange happened. All of a sudden, a flock of giant bats flew out of the asteroid belt. Some of them had golden patterns on their bodies. When Xiao Chen checked, he sucked in a breath of cold air. Those were at least essence stage giant bats. Furthermore, there were quite a few of them. Flee. Without even thinking, Xiao Chen suddenly stood up. The throne merged with his white robes as he quickly flew away. Chapter 1557. With so many giant bats, Xiao Chen could not deal with them all. Furthermore, there were a few leaders among them. This made things even more difficult. Running was the best option. However, Xiao Chen's speed was much slower than that of these ferocious beasts that grew up in the starry heavens. Their bodies needed to adapt to the environment of the starry heavens. Furthermore, the school bus had just arrived and was not used to the complicated environment of the starry heavens. Soon, a swarm of giant bats surrounded Xiao Chen. When they got closer, Xiao Chen discovered that these giant bats were nearly 10 meters long. They had sharp beaks and huge wings. The scariest thing were their claws. They were incredibly sharp and flickered with a cold light. Chi, chi. Suddenly, these giant bats let out sharp cries at the same time. The cries were ear-piercing and unpleasant, penetrating into the depths of one's mind. Sound wave attacks. Xiao Chen's face sank. The sound wave attacks of these giant bats were not simple. They were all infused with mental energy. Most importantly, he was in the middle of the encirclement, so the giant bat's sound waves were all focused on him. Just thinking about it made Xiao Chen tremble in fear. If he was not careful, he might end up an idiot, bleeding from his 7 orifices. Dragon Tone Art. Without much time to think, Xiao Chen decisively executed the Dragon Tone Art. A purple whirlpool gathered in his chest. A huge dragon image coiled above his head. At the critical moment, Xiao Chen roared ferociously. Roar! Roar! A loud dragon roar resounded. The mental energy in Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness, which far surpassed that of a regular person's, erupted with this roar. Not only did the giant bats fail to injure Xiao Chen, but they were also severely injured by the rebound of the dragon roar. It was no longer possible for the giant bats to attack Xiao Chen with sound waves. Revealing a smile, Xiao Chen looked around the encirclement and fixed his gaze on a giant bat with a golden line on its back. To capture the bandits, one had to capture the leader. Even if this group of giant bats wanted to cause trouble for Xiao Chen, they did not have the courage to do so. Whoosh! After making up his mind, Xiao Chen's figure flashed as he executed the fish dragon art and charged forward. The giant bats that pounced at him along the way were all easily dodged, leaving only broken afterimages. Suddenly, a gust of wind flashed in front of him. The wind was as sharp as a knife, and it scratched Xiao Chen's cheeks, leaving 2 bloody marks. Retreat! Bewildered, Xiao Chen quickly retreated. Only then did he realize that the golden-edged bat had flown over his head. What a close shave! If he hadn't dodged in time, his head would have been crushed on the spot. Just thinking about the giant bat's golden claws, which flickered with a faint light and overflowed with cold light, made one shudder. However, this also firmed up Xiao Chen's decision to kill this golden-edged bat first. After a few rounds with this golden-edged bat, Xiao Chen actually suffered a small loss. He couldn't help but shout, "Saber!" The 7 divine weapons merged together. Xiao Chen grasped the scabbard. He did not want to end up in a battle to the death, so he executed the flawless saber technique's heartbreaking stance. Xiao Chen's heart shattered, and he felt intense pain. Then he quickly hacked out with the divine weapon. Kassier. Who could have imagined that the golden-edged bat's claws would firmly grab the saber in the time it took for a spark to fly? What great vital chi! Xiao Chen's expression changed slightly as he failed to draw his saber. The golden-edged bat flapped its wings, and its sharp teeth flew towards Xiao Chun, forcing him to abandon his saber. Just at this crucial moment, the golden-edged bat suddenly lost all signs of life. Xiao Chun's heartbreaking stance ignored defense, directly attacking the target's heart. At this moment, the golden-edged bat's heart shattered, dying on the spot. Kasie. A saber light flashed. Xiao Chun drew his divine weapon and chopped off the golden-edged bat's golden claws. When looking at the cold, golden light and sharp claws, even a fool would know that these were good items. After killing this golden-edged bat, Xiao Chun did not linger. This group of astral beasts was harder to deal with than he had imagined. If there was no need, he would not linger. Look. There is a person being chased by a group of demon tone bats. So, it is a veritable essence stage rookie. No wonder he offended the demon tone bats. When such astral beasts work together, even peak primal core realm experts would have to retreat. The demon tone bats are one of the overlords of this area. This person is dead for sure. Should we save him? What's there to save? Firstly, he does not have the emblem of a sect. Secondly, he has no experience. With one look, we can tell that he is an unreliable loose cultivator. As Xiao Chun retreated, a fortress ship passed in front of him. A group of people on the ship watched the scene of him being chased. When Xiao Chun looked over, he felt somewhat startled. This fortress ship was very fast. This should be an astral ship specially made for traveling in the starry heavens. It should have formations that could adapt to the starry heavens. Xiao Chun had a rough understanding of this in the Book of the Epics. Just as Xiao Chun was thinking, a strong aura swept over Xiao Chun. A primal core realm expert. Just as Xiao Chun was feeling bewildered, a cold snort rang out by his ear. Scram further away. Don't lead the demon tone bats in our direction. Otherwise, this old man will take your life. Xiao Chun looked up and saw a blue-clad old man at the top of the fortress ship, looking at him coldly. It turned out that Xiao Chun was heading to the profound light world. The direction he was retreating in happened to be the same as this fortress ship. Xiao Chun was not in the mood to bother with this person, so he did not bother explaining. However, he still had to be wary of this person's strength. Xiao Chun lowered his speed. After all, it was not like he could not deal with the demon tone bats behind him. It would just be more troublesome. On the fortress ship, a man and a woman stood behind the blue-clad old man. The man was handsome, but his lips were rather thin, and he looked somewhat fickle. The woman had some baby fat on her face, but her facial features were delicate. While she was not very pretty, she was very likable. Master, that person does not look like a bad person. We can save him. The woman whispered as she looked into the distance, at Xiao Chun, who was slowly disappearing from her vision. The young man smiled and said, "Junior sister, you are too young." With one look, it is clear that this person is deliberately leading the demon tone bats in our direction. If we save him, we will fall into his trap. Then, we will take the opportunity to leave. If he is more malicious, he might even take advantage of the situation to rob us. But master, how can a primal core realm expert fear a veritable essence stage cultivator? The woman argued, but she did not have much confidence. The blue-clad old man sighed and said, "Fei, or your senior brother is right. At such a time, it is better to avoid trouble. With your character, I am really worried about how you will compete with others when you go to Profoundine Island." "Master, don't worry. Luonen will definitely protect junior sister well." The young man immediately stepped forward and expressed his stance. However, the blue-clad old man shook his head and did not say anything. If you go to Profoundine Island, you might not even be able to protect yourself. Why the need to boast? The blue-clad old man did not think much of these two disciples. One was strong but soft-hearted. The other was biting off more than he could chew and was too arrogant. However, it was good for him to temper himself. The competition within the sect was still gentler. Outside the sect, suffering a little was good, tempering his character. 3 days later, the blue-clad old man delayed Xiao Chun for a while, so he simply stopped fleeing. He fought as he retreated, tempering his combat experience in the starry heavens, and adapting to the environment of the starry heavens, as well as the higher-level space of this great world. By relying on the fish dragon art, Xiaochen could make thousands of changes in an instant, moving like a fish in water. Xiaochen killed the 3 leaders of the demon tone bats one after another. Not a single one of the ordinary demon tone bats managed to escape. The vast magic energy in Xiaochen's sea of consciousness turned into mental energy, which he sent out through the dragon tone art. This allowed him to not fear the demon tone bats' killing sonic attacks. As Xiaochen recuperated on the cycle throne, he thought about his war trophies. There were many pairs of demon tone bat claws. There were even 4 pairs of golden claws, the claws of the demon tone bat leaders. These claws were tougher and sharper, like divine materials. More accurately, they were of a higher quality than the divine materials of the Kunlun realm. Based on that primal core expert's tone, he seemed to fear these demon tone bats. Even primal core experts fear these demon tone bats. It seems like I can make use of them. When Xiaochen thought of an idea, he took out a carving knife and a pair of demon tone bat claws. Then he slowly started carving. After another 7 days, Xiaochen recovered to his peak state. He frowned slightly as he was carving the demon tone bats, and stopped what he was doing. A gentle breeze blew in front, and the 7 divine weapons protecting the throne buzzed and trembled. This aura. There are primal core cultivators fighting in the distance. Xiaochen stood up and gently tapped his forehead with a finger. The heavenly eye flew out and hovered in the air, watching from afar. After a while, when Xiaochen saw the situation of the battle, his lips curled up in a smile. It was a small world. The fortress ship from 10 days ago ran into astral starry heaven's pirates. Chapter 1558. With the observation of the heavenly eye, Xiaochen could see every movement in the distance. There was a smaller pirate ship in front of the ship that the blue-clad old man was on, but it was even faster. The bow of the ship rose, and a black scimitar banner hung on it. The entire ship was covered in sharp edges. This was especially so for the bow, which was as sharp as a knife. Although this ship was small, it was much faster than the other ship. It was also nimble. No matter how the other ship changed directions, the other ship could not shake off the pirate ship. The other ship was even forced to keep kicking back. Clearly, the two had been fighting for a long time already. Only then did Xiaochen catch up. Otherwise, given Xiaochen's speed, he would not have been able to catch up to the blue-clad old man's ship. Xiaochen's eyes lit up as he looked at the pirate ship, revealing a fervent expression. "Master, is there any way to deal with this black scimitar pirate group? We have already been hiding for 2 days, but we still cannot avoid them," the young disciple Luonan asked with a somewhat grave expression beside the blue-clad old man. The Black Scimitar Pirate Group was one of the 10 strongest pirate groups in the nearby starry domain. The blue-clad old man said, "I'll go and talk to them." Brothers of the Black Scimitar Pirate Group, this old man is a 2nd-generation elder of the Tianyi sect. Can you give the Tianyi sect some face and not make things difficult for us? Otherwise, our Tianyi sect is not that easy to bully. The Tianyi sect was one of the stronger sects in the vicinity. The sect had a spirit light venerate, who surpassed the core cloud realm, holding down the fort. However, it was not a local sect of the profound light great realm. Although the Tianyi sect was rather far away, it still had some prestige. If the Tianyi sect was smart, this pirate group would probably give it some face. "Ah, this old man is not blind. I saw your Tianyi sect's banner long ago. Cut the crap. If you want to pass through here, hand over 100,000 spirit jades. Otherwise, this old man will have to go far away." A black-clad man holding a scimitar laughed maniacally on the pirate ship. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 30-odd people charged out from behind this black-clad man. All of them were at least veritable essence stage. Many of them were at the Yin essence stage or Yang essence stage. There was even one person who had reached the half-step primal core realm. The veritable personage realm consisted of 3 stages: veritable essence stage, Yin essence stage, and Yang essence stage. The strength of the pirates on this pirate ship could be considered quite elite, comparable to some small sections. This was especially so for the black-clad man. He was at least a late-stage minor primal core realm cultivator. 100,000 spiritual jades? You must be a maple, right? Let me tell you, it's impossible. A trace of killing chi flashed on the blue-clad old man's face. He said sullenly, "Just a mere pirate, and yet you dare to be so arrogant. Ha ha ha. Then let's cut the crap and kill all of them." The pirate leader revealed a sinister smile and shouted. The pirates on the pirate ship laughed strangely and charged out. All of a sudden, the cultivators of both sides quickly exchanged blows in the air. A huge battle could break out at any moment. Xiao Chen withdrew the heavenly eye and revealed a doubtful expression. This pirate leader seemed to have another purpose. It didn't seem like a robbery. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come up with an unacceptable price. I don't care about that. The grudges between the two sides have nothing to do with me. It's that pirate ship. Xiao Chen suddenly had an idea. When he saw the speed of the ship earlier, he was already somewhat envious. Then he thought about how his cycle throne was like a tortoise compared to that ship. Compared to that pirate ship, it was like a snail. The core of an astral warship is the formation, followed by the warship materials. If I can obtain the formation and modify the cycle throne, is there a chance? Opportunities came from fighting. If one fought, there would be. If one did not fight, there would be no chance at all. After making up his mind, Xiao Chen made up his mind. Then he quickly headed for the place where the two sides fought. At the place where the battle was taking place, both sides were somewhat anxious. On the whole, the Black Scimitar pirate group held the advantage. Furthermore, their numbers were continuously expanding. The blue-clad old man was very strong, practically suppressing the pirate leader. His combat style was ruthless and decisive, and he was extremely experienced. However, the situation of the disciples on the ship was somewhat unsightly. It was simply a one-sided massacre. They cried out miserably whenever they felt any pain. As for those pirates, they laughed strangely. These people, who kept their heads turned around, had a frighteningly ruthless combat style. The more injured they were, the stronger their baleful auras became. Fortunately, the two disciples of the blue-clad old man held on to the ship's side. Otherwise, they would not be completely defeated. Xiao Chen glanced at the situation of the battle. Then his gaze fell on the pirate ship. "Senior brother, look. Isn't that the white-clad bladesman being chased by the demon-tone bats?" The girl named Fei exclaimed when she saw Xiao Chen's figure. Her eyes lit up. "Junior sister, look. Isn't that the white-clad bladesman being chased by the demon-tone bats?" The thin-lipped man did not believe it. However, when he saw Xiao Chen's figure, he was somewhat stunned, nearly getting injured by the pirates. Damn. Am I seeing things? To think that he is still alive after being chased by the demon-tone bats. Even primal core realm cultivators cannot endure the sonic attacks of the demon-tone bats. They will end up hallucinating and severely injure their mental energy. The blue-clad old man, who was fighting with the pirate leader, also saw Xiao Chen. Hope immediately ignited in this experienced old man. A person who could escape from the demon-tone bats was definitely not simple. Perhaps he could tip the balance. "Young hero, will you lend us a hand? Our Tianyi sect will definitely thank you heavily in the future." The blue-clad old man had completely forgotten that he had misunderstood Xiao Chen, and told him to scram far away. Xiao Chen did not care about the blue-clad old man, continuing to fly forward as if he did not hear what the old man said at all. "Ha ha ha. Interesting. To think that you treat a veritable essence stage bladesman as a treasure. However, what's more interesting is that he did not abandon you. Ha ha ha." When the black-clad man saw the situation, he started laughing loudly. However, the black-clad man only laughed halfway before he could continue. Xiao Chen flew straight towards his pirate ship. "Damn it. How dare he target my precious ship? Quickly, go and get a few brothers to chop him up. He is just an insignificant veritable essence stage bladesman. Is he tired of living?" Immediately, 3 of the pirates fighting on the ship heard their leader's orders. Then they immediately flew out and chased after Xiao Chen. The blue-clad old man revealed a confused look in his eyes. He could not figure out Xiao Chen's intentions. What is he doing? Going to the pirate ship? Isn't that just sending himself to death? There were still experts stationed on the pirate ship. "Brat, stop right there." Of the 3 pirates chasing Xiao Chen, the one who specialized in speed was the first to charge over. Then he quickly hacked down with his saber. "Kasie, When the saber light landed, Xiao Chen shattered into pieces. Before this pirate could rejoice, he discovered that he had struck only an afterimage. What fast speed! The three pirates were startled, their hearts thumping wildly. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen dodged this saber strike so calmly. The pirate whose saber light missed looked at the shattered afterimages in front, and was stunned for a moment. Die. Suddenly, a figure charged out of the shattered afterimages in the air. This figure was like a sharp saber, giving off an unparalleled sharpness. Before this pirate could react, he got punched. Two cauldron force, together with the great Tao might, instantly exploded. The pirate corpse was covered in shattered bones, turning into a clump of blood mist. Ain Essence Stage Cultivator. It seems like he is not much. Xiao Chen muttered to himself as he withdrew his fist light. Right now, Xiao Chen urgently needed to figure out his strength. However, this was clearly not the time yet. Old 7. The two pirates behind were greatly startled. They could not accept this. Old 7 died just like that. Xiao Chen glanced over indifferently. However, he did not care so much. He gently waved his sleeves. And somersaulted in the air, spreading his arms and continuing to fly towards the pirate ship. This scene shocked many of the people present. No one had expected this white-robed bladesman to kill Ain Essence Stage Cultivator so easily. Senior brother, he does not seem to be an ordinary veritable Essence Stage Cultivator. A bright light flashed in Fei Er's eyes as she exclaimed in pleasant surprise, "Perhaps he can help us." Stop dreaming. No matter what, he is still a veritable Essence Stage loose cultivator. If you go to the pirate ship, there is a half-step primal core expert guarding it. You will die for sure. However, he can indeed help us attract some islands. Luonan said indifferently, not showing any emotion. Xiao Chen easily dodged the attacks of the two pirates. Soon, he landed on the deck of the pirate ship. Boom. The two pirates behind panted slightly as they landed heavily, kicking up a cloud of dust. Then they shielded Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen's eyes lit up as he looked at the skinny bladesman on the left. He said, "A young Essence Stage Cultivator. Not bad. I can feel baleful young energy in your body. You are really not afraid of death. You do not show any fear when you see the two of us." The skinny man emphasized his words as he looked at Xiao Chen with a surging murderous intent. Xiao Chen shook his head slightly. "The two of you? You have the strength, but your aura is not enough to scare me." Right after Xiao Chen spoke, an overwhelming aura suddenly surged out from his body. During his 20-odd years in the Kunlun realm, Xiao Chen had experienced many trials and tribulations. The so-called aura was a reflection of a person's experience and mental state. Xiao Chen's mental state was far from what the two before him could compare to. As for experience, Xiao Chen was a legend in the Kunlun realm. How could these two weaklings compare to him? The moment Xiao Chen's strong aura appeared, the invisible aura put immense pressure on the two pirates, forcing them to take a few steps back involuntarily. Xiao Chen revealed a mocking smile as he said coldly, "You are full of openings. No matter how high your cultivation is, it is useless." Chapter 1559. For a person to have a strong aura, they either had a truly noble background or had experienced the vicissitudes of life amidst a storm of blood, experiencing all sorts of joys and sorrows, becoming a legend. Clearly, Xiao Chen was the latter. Such an aura was even more oppressive than that of those with noble backgrounds. The two Black Scimitar pirate group members standing in front of Xiao Chen trembled slightly. The pressure they felt was even greater than when they faced their boss. "Stop trying to mystify us, you insignificant veritable Essence Stage bladesman." The young Essence Stage pirate on the left suppressed the fear in his heart and shouted ferociously. Then he drummed up his courage and charged at Xiao Chen. "Do you think that bluffing and deceiving others and yourself can boost your courage?" Xiao Chen revealed a disdainful smile. The other party attacked like the wind, possessing a strong aura. However, the other party's footsteps were messy, his expression nervous, and his heart flustered. If Xiao Chen stood still, there would be fewer openings. If he moved, there would be more openings. In the time it took for a spark to fly, The other party's saber light was about to chop down. Xiao Chen's figure flashed, leaving behind an afterimage on the ground. In the next moment, a leg appeared. Xiao Chen's foot moved past the other party and accurately kicked the other party's chin, finding many openings in his saber move. Kasie. The pirate flew into the air. When he landed, he sprawled on the ground and twitched continuously. However, he did not get up again. The remaining In Essence stage pirate was frightened silly. He actually fled, no longer daring to block Xiao Chen's path. Naturally, there was no need to bother with these so-called nobodies. Although these pirates had pretty good cultivations, their mental states were far inferior to Xiao Chen's. It was like a beggar meeting the crown prince of a dynasty. No matter how strong the beggar was, he would be intimidated by the latter's aura and become fearful. Xiao Chen kicked open the ship's door and walked in without hesitation. He entered. This white-robed bladesman charged into the Black Scimitar pirate group's ship. How can this be? How can this veritable essence stage fellow be so heaven-defying? Such a scene shocked not only the Tianyi sect disciples. Even the group of pirates was incredibly shocked, wondering if they were seeing things. Fei smiled and said, "Senior brother, like I said, this white-robed bladesman is not simple. Look, he has already entered the hold." Luonan thought to himself, if it were me, I could deal with these 3 pirates. However, it would be hard to say if they wanted to be as relaxed as Xiao Chen. Humph. He is seeking death. There will definitely be half-step primal core experts guarding the control room of the warship. Bunch of trash. You cannot even block an insignificant veritable essence stage bladesman. A bunch of trash. You can't even block an insignificant veritable essence stage bladesman. How dare you? The pirate leader, who was currently fighting with the blue-clad old man, was so angered that his entire body trembled. He wished that he could personally go over and kill Xiao Chen. Xiao spirit. Of fighting he, and said he won and he of blood and of. Old ghost, don't be too pleased with yourself. My second brother is guarding the ship. He's seeking his own death. I don't need to send more people. The black-clothed man was in a bad mood, and said with resentment. At this moment, the situation was delicate, no longer like before. The blue-clad old man said sullenly, "In that case, let's see if your subordinates kill my disciples faster, or if I defeat you faster." As long as either side ended the battle, the victor would immediately be decided. Now that the 3 pirates were gone, the pressure on the Tianyi sect's disciples was much more relaxed. Most importantly, Luonan and Fei, these 2 outstanding talents of the Tianyi sect, were far stronger than those of the same cultivation realm. After familiarizing himself with the pirates' fighting style, his true strength was slowly being unleashed. The internal structure of the pirate society was unique. More than 10 rooms of different sizes with various purposes were created. Xiao Chen headed straight for the core control room. His spiritual consciousness had already sensed that there was a half-step core cloud realm cultivator in the control room. The dragon blood soul-breaking fingers silently accumulated power as he hurried along. Xiao Chen was not prepared to clash with a half-step primal core realm expert. This was not the time either. Killing in one strike, and then quickly obtaining the core formation was the way to go. Kai. Xiao Chen kicked open the doors to the control room. A rather young, middle-aged man in the room looked at Xiao Chen coldly. The youths these days are getting bolder. To think that an insignificant veritable essence stage cultivator dares to target our Black Scimitar pirate's ship. The middle-aged man shouted ferociously. Then he waved his hand and charged at Xiao Chen. Baleful Yin energy and baleful Yang energy slowly flowed around his palm, forming a subtle balance. His body also entered a certain balance, becoming compatible with the world. When the middle-aged man leaped up, the entire space moved with him, putting immense pressure on Xiao Chen. Whoosh! The middle-aged man moved very fast, not intending to give Xiao Chen any time to catch his breath, preparing to court death. However, a finger stretched out in the time it took for a spark to fly. A scarlet light flickered on the fingertip. A Soul Dao martial technique. Panic flashed in the middle-aged man's eyes. He wanted to retreat quickly, but he was already very fast in the first place. Retreating was easier said than done. Xiao Chen only stretched out his finger and tapped the middle-aged man's forehead. It looked like the middle-aged man offered himself up. The eyes of the second-in-command of the pirate group slowly dimmed. His soul was severely injured. To think that he did not die on the spot. The soul of a half-step primal core realm expert was extraordinarily resilient. Startled, Xiao Chen lowered his arm and clenched his palm into a fist. Then he punched the second-in-command's dantian with 2 cauldron force. Bang! A hole appeared in the roof of the control room. The second-in-command vomited a mouthful of blood as he got knocked back. Second brother. The pirate leader, who was fighting with the blue-clad old man, happened to see this scene. When he saw his second brother get knocked back, he showed no signs of life. The pirate leader immediately went berserk, utterly enraged. How can this be? My second brother is a half-step primal core realm cultivator. He cannot do anything to an insignificant veritable essence stage bladesman. Return to the ship. All of you. Return to the ship and kill that brat. The black-clad man was no longer in the mood to continue fighting. He called out, and the pirates on the ship scattered back to their pirate ships. A light flickered in the blue-clad old man's eyes. Actually, he could have kept the pirate leader here. However, the experienced and astute him chose to give up. Master, a half-step primal core realm expert died on the pirate's side. Let's call second martial uncle out and kill all these pirates. There was also a half-step primal core realm expert guarding the control room on the ship. Luo Nen immediately suggested after he arrived beside the blue-clad old man. Master, let's make a move. If we still don't, that white-clad bladesman who saved us will die. The blue-clad old man's expression did not change. He ignored Luo Nan's impulse and Fei Er's anxiety. He said indifferently, "It is not time yet. I need to watch first." Inside the control room, Xiao Chen knew everything that happened outside like the back of his hand. Life bestowal spell. With a soft cry, many demon tone bat sculptures flew out of the control room. There were more than 20 of them. Finally, there was even a golden demon tone bat. Boss, it's the demon tone bats. There are so many demon tone bats. There are even chief-level demon tone bats. When the pirates who just landed on the ship saw a group of demon tone bats suddenly fly out, they were all frightened silly and retreated in a fluster. A few pirates were too slow. The demon tone bats' sharp claws dug deep into their chests, breaking a few ribs on the spot. Blood spurted out, and the pirates were in so much pain that they wanted to die. Chi. The golden demon tone bat appeared, and its sharp claws dug deep into the roof of the pirate ship. The other demon tone bats stood in a row around it, squeaking strangely. It was like a bucket of cold water had been poured over the enraged black-clad man, his heart instantly turning cold. Demon tone bats. Damn it! Since when did my pirate ship become a bat nest? A strange look flashed in the blue-clad old man's eyes. At this moment, he finally made a move, charging out with a half-step primal core realm expert and a Tianyi sect disciple. The blue-clad old man spoke righteously, appearing very righteous. He shouted, "Black Scimitar, today is the day you pirates die." Chapter 1560. In the core control room of the pirate ship, Xiao Chen forcefully pried open the deck, and the starship's formation appeared before Xiao Chen's eyes. Xiao Chen was immediately dazzled, unable to take it all in. The formation below the deck flickered with light. The formation was no more than 100 meters wide. It actually had more than 10,000 nodes. There were other formations within the formation, all interconnected, formations within formations. Every node had a spirit jade in it. The pirate ship did not look very big. At the core of the formation, there was an exquisitely shaped formation plate engraved with complicated patterns. This formation plate was definitely the work of a grandmaster. Activating it would require a significant amount of resources. A total of 10,000 spirit jades. Who knew how long it would last? I miscalculated. I should not have blasted that fellow to death. Xiao Chen frowned slightly. This formation was very complicated. He could not figure it out immediately. It would be great if Mo Chen were here. Given her attainments in formations, she would be able to figure it out with a few glances. However, there should be a formation diagram in this control room. Such a complicated formation would be very troublesome to repair. Xiaochen muttered to himself as he rubbed his chin with his right hand. His gaze swept across the control room, searching for the hidden mechanism or the hidden interlayer. After a while, Xiaochen discovered something. He found a wooden box in a secret compartment under the control panel. After opening it, there were 3 formation diagrams and a detailed star chart. The star chart included not only the purple sun region, but also the nearby astral domains. Good stuff. The star chart that Big Brother Long gave me is already very old. This star chart is really perfect. Xiaochen studied it, and was surprised to discover that this star chart had markings of the nearby trade routes. There were also records of the valuable stars, remnants, and resources on the stars. It truly lives up to being a star chart used by pirates. It is really detailed. Now it is mine. Xiaochen smiled faintly and placed it in his universe ring. Then he looked at the formation diagram. It was indeed complicated. Every formation diagram was folded, and there were a total of 3. After putting away the formation diagram, Xiaochen sized up the formation below. Then he took out the formation plate. Immediately, the flickering light disappeared, and the formation came to a stop. It is indeed a good item. Just the materials alone are extraordinary. Xiaochen commented bluntly as he held the array plate and sensed it. Next up was the spirit jades on the nodes. 10,000 spirit jades was not a small sum. Although Xiaochen had 2 million spirit jades on him, such things did not appear to be a lot. Boss, something happened to our ship. The pirates fighting the Tianyi sect were greatly startled as they spoke in a fluster. The pirate ship's spirituality had completely disappeared, and some of the glowing water chestnuts had stopped flashing. The entire ship shook violently in the starry sky. My ship. The pirate leader's lungs were about to explode. The Black Scimitar pirate group, which ran amok in this region, actually had their ship hijacked. This would definitely become the greatest joke among their peers. However, they could only watch helplessly as the demon tone bats guarded the ship's hold. Although these pirates were angry, they did not dare to say anything. Furthermore, there was still the Tianyi sect's large-scale counterattack. This group of pirates could neither advance nor retreat. All sorts of loud sounds came from the ship's hold. The strong pirate ship shook continuously in the starry sky. No one knew what was happening inside. However, no one knew that it was definitely not a good thing. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. The black-clad man was so frustrated that he wanted to vomit blood. His movements were disrupted, and several wounds appeared on his body. The pirates' morale plummeted, and they persisted bitterly, losing their initial ferocity. Following a loud explosion, the hull of the ship collapsed, and the deck began to peel off non-stop. The perfectly fine pirate ship became bare, leaving only the outline of the ship's skeleton. Pussy. When the black-clad man saw his treasured ship in such a state, he could not help vomiting large mouthfuls of blood. He finally understood what Xiaochen was doing. Xiaochen was using brute force to tear apart the valuable parts of his ship, piece by piece. Now Xiaochen met with someone even more ruthless than him. Brat, I Hu Fei, will not share the same sky with you. During the intense battle, the pirate leader took some time to glance at Xiaochen. Then he became so angry that his entire body trembled. Xiaochen did not hear what the pirate leader said at all. He held his chin and looked at the skeleton that made up the ship. Suddenly, the pirate leader's eyes lit up. He nodded slightly and reached out to touch a branch. That was the backbone of the entire ship, the most important support point. How many resources had been expended to forge this skeleton? The pirate leader knew this the best. Crack. Xiaochen pulled hard, and the entire ship's skeleton shattered, instantly falling apart. Xiaochen tore apart a perfectly good ship just like that. Before the pirate leader finished speaking, the blue-clad old man took advantage of this opportunity to strike the pirate leader's chest. The pirate leader sent the blue-clad old man flying. Then he looked at Xiaochen and said in a trembling voice, "You are ruthless. You are ruthless." Since the situation was already over, the pirate leader did not dare to linger. The surviving pirates scattered in all directions, fleeing miserably in the starry heavens. After chasing away the pirates, The many Tianyi sect disciples and the two elders looked at Xiao Chun in silence, deeply shocked. It was hard to imagine that this white-clad bladesman before them forcefully tore apart the Black Scimitar pirate group's pirate ship. Senior brother, should we take him down? He should have the formation diagram of the pirate ship on him. If we refine the many parts of the pirate ship, they will be invaluable divine materials. The half-step primal core realm old man beside the blue-clad old man sent a voice projection as a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Don't get anxious. I originally wanted to let those pirates go back and deal with him. Who knew? A group of demon tone bats flew out. This fellow is somewhat strange. The blue-clad old man's eyes flickered. After a while, he arrived before Xiao Chun with a wide smile. I really have to thank you for allowing the Tianyi sect to escape danger this time. Would you like to come to my Tianyi sect's ship and have a chat? The blue-clad old man asked very enthusiastically. Xiao Chun smiled coldly in his heart as he carefully put away the bone structure in his hand. Xiao Chun intended to use the pirate ship's formation to upgrade the cycle throne. He came up with the idea on the spur of the moment and dismantled the entire pirate ship. Unexpectedly, the harvest was bountiful, far surpassing his expectations. As for this old man before him, Xiao Chun just smiled at him. After so many years in the Kunlun realm, he had seen all sorts of people. Xiao Chun clearly knew what the blue-clad old man was thinking. The other party's tricks were not very clever. That's not good, right? I wonder where that group of demon tone bats flew off to. Who knows when they will fly out again? At that time, someone will tell me to scram again. Xiao Chun said indifferently with a cold expression. He was not a fool to board the ship. The blue-clad old man smiled awkwardly. It's a misunderstanding. Earlier, I thought that young hero wanted to harm this ship. It really was a misunderstanding. That's right. My master is a good person. Now that you saved us, come on up and have a seat. Come on up and have a seat. You are going to the profound light great realm, right? We can bring you up. The girl with some baby fat, Fei invited Xiao Chun. Junior sister. Why are you being so polite to him? Master invited him out of goodwill. Yet he is putting on airs. If he is not coming, then so be it. The thin-lipped man Luo Nan mocked as he rolled his eyes at Xiao Chun. Goodbye. After all, the other party was a primal core realm expert. Even if he harbored evil intentions, Xiao Chun could not afford to offend him. Waving his hand, Xiao Chun turned to leave. Wait. The blue-clad old man seemed to have made up his mind about something, suddenly calling out to Xiao Chun. The wary Xiao Chun did not rush to turn around. He only prepared for the dragon blood soul-breaking finger, as he silently executed the divine lightning eye. What a strong wariness! The blue-clad old man noticed Xiao Chun's wariness and felt slightly startled. However, he did not intend to attack Xiao Chun. The blue-clad old man feared those elusive demon tone bats. Before he figured out what was going on, he would not take the risk. You saved the lives of our entire ship. This old man has nothing to repay you for. However, I know a place with extremely high-quality baleful energy. I can tell you about it. The moment the blue-clad old man said that, the disciples of the Tianyi sect and that old man were all shocked. They could not understand why the blue-clad old man would tell such a secret to an outsider. Peak-grade baleful energy. Xiao Chun's heart skipped a beat as he thought quickly. Even though he knew that the other party did not have good intentions, he did not dare to act rashly. Although he knew that the other party did not have good intentions, the other party's offer had indeed tempted him. Agree? Or not? Chapter 1561. No problem, no problem. You can stay on this ship for the time being. Venerable meant that he was an expert worthy of respect. In order to have a chance to become a true god in the future, one had to build a good foundation in order to become a true god. Isn't that obvious? With a single glance, one could tell that he was a wandering cultivator without a sect. If they were from a righteous sect, they would have reported their names long ago. Fei happily agreed. After her master left, she looked at Xiao Chun and asked impatiently, Big brother Xiao Chun, which great realm are you from? Which sect are you from? You are very strong. Perhaps Xiaochen wanted Fei Er and Luo Nan to interact more with Xiaochen because he wanted to use this opportunity to investigate his origins. When the other party raised his hand, it felt as though he was fused with space itself. With a single leap, it felt as though the entire surrounding space was lifted up by the other party. The enlightened being realm was divided into 3 small realms: true essence, yin essence, and yang essence. Only by combining the 3 essences and forming an inner core could one enter this realm. When Fei Er saw Xiaochen hesitating, she kindly reminded him. As for primal core realm experts, even if they used their trump cards, they would not be able to harm their opponent. The blue-clad old man smiled and said, "Young hero is right. This old man can only help you to this extent. After all, how can such a resource be without an owner?" When Luo Nan heard this, he felt upset. This junior sister seemed to be overly concerned about this fellow. Profound Yin Island was a land of fortuitous encounters. There were many high-quality baleful Yin energy hidden in the depths of the earth vein. There were even peak-grade baleful Yin energy. However, Yin Fiend resources were limited. Ordinary disciples could only rely on Yin Essence stones. However, some of the best Yin Essence stones were not much worse than Yin Qi. According to the rules of the Jianghu, one had to be outside. Unless the other party brought it up on their own initiative, they were not allowed to inquire about the other party's background. It was considered a taboo. Xiaochen laughed bitterly in his heart when he saw the other party's innocent eyes. After thinking for a while, he opened his mouth and said, "All right, I will thank Elder first." Yin Essence stones and Yang Essence stones were very valuable treasures in the perfected being realm. The supreme-grade baleful Yin energy was too important to him. Xiaochen was very clever and immediately understood. He looked at the blue-clad old man and said, "You want me to pretend to be a Tianyi sect disciple and enter Profound Yin Island? The reason is because of you. Just like you said, don't ask about other people's origins unless they are willing." Xiaochen, in particular, respected him very much. "It's fine. Brother Luo Nan is too polite." Miss Fei Er, actually your senior brother is right. If someone isn't willing to expose their own clan, they must have some misgivings. The blue-clad old man smiled calmly and said, "I still have a small request. Wherever there is a baleful Yin energy, there will be Yin Essence stones. You only need to absorb the Yin baleful energy. I will leave the Yin Essence stones for the other disciples to use." Back then, for the sake of this profound Yin Island, the various sects fought each other. It was not easy to come up with this compromise. If not for his opponent's carelessness and the fact that he had coincidentally collided with his dragon blood soul-breaking finger, the outcome of that battle would have been hard to say. When the half-step primal core realm pirate second in command made a move on the pirate ship, Xiaochen knew that he was not a match for him. Xiaochen frowned slightly and asked, "What do you mean?" "Big brother Xiaochen, just agree. My master is sincerely repaying you. Senior brother Luo Nan and I also have to hand over Yin Essence stones to the sect. In fact, this pirate ship incident might even have something to do with it. However, this profound Yin Island did not belong to the Tianyi sect alone." At the same time, the blue-clad old man and the half-step primal core realm expert drank tea and chatted in a tea hall within the ship. The focus was on Xiaochen, who was wandering around on the deck. Xiaochen remained calm and collected, silently dispersing the divine lightning eye and the dragon blood soul-breaking finger. The blue-clad old man before Xiaochen was strong and shrewd with age. Interacting with this old man was like asking a tiger for its skin. If one was not careful, one would end up getting eaten. The blue-clad old man pointed to Fei Er and Luo Nan. Then he said, "This year, Fei Er and Nan Er did well, standing out in the competition between their sect members and obtaining the right to go to Profound Yin Island. Senior brother, why did you give this fellow such benefits? He is not from a sect, has no one to rely on, and is decisive in killing. With one look, it is clear that he is a loose cultivator." 1 hour later, Xiaochen understood the ins and outs of the matter. As for half-step primal core realm cultivators, if they did not use Dermic World, the Divine Lightning Eye, the Ice Blood Lightning Dragon, and the Dragon Blood Soul-Breaking Finger, it would be hard to say who would win. It was best to absorb peak-grade baleful Yin energy, and peak-grade baleful Yang energy in the Yin Cloud realm, and the Yang Essence stage. Xiao Chun turned around and looked at the blue-clad old man. It is rare for senior to be so kind. This junior does indeed need peak-grade baleful Yin energy to advance to the Yin essence stage. As the saying went, in order to become a god, one had to first become a human. Of the billions of cultivators, only 10% could break through to the mortal realm. Those who could break through to the innate realm were even fewer. The half-step primal core realm expert was still brooding, not understanding the blue-clad old man's actions. It's that simple? Xiao Chun remained silent. It seemed like he had not seen such a naive girl for a long time already. As long as the other party had a chance, she could kill him at any time. Xiao Chun smiled, not minding it. His eyes could understand the ways of the world. Instead, the islands were managed by the surrounding large sections. At this time every year, the various large sects would send out veritable essence stage, or Yin essence stage outstanding talents to compete on the islands. Senior brother, how can you say that? Fei said angrily. Master wants us to properly entertain our honored guests. Quickly apologize. Fei seemed to understand, but not really. After a while she nodded and smiled. Big brother Xiao Chun, you really know a lot. With one look, I can tell that you are a good person. On this trip, Xiao Chun wanted to go to a star close to the profound light great realm. Xiao Chun already made up his mind to take a risk. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chun boarded the ship with Xiao Chun. The three casually walked on the deck, admiring the scenery of the boundless starry heavens in the night sky. The Tianyi sect disciples on the deck all respected the three. The blue-clad old man did not care. He laughed straightforwardly and stood up. Fei Nanner, you are all cultivators of the same generation. You can interact with them. At the same time, help me properly entertain them. Your martial uncle and I will take our leave first. In my opinion, they are no weaker than the elite disciples of those rank 2 sections. The blue-clad old man was a primal core realm expert. What was the primal core realm? Luonan asked sarcastically, not waiting for Xiao Chun to reply. Luonan's words angered his junior sister. To Xiao Chun, it meant that he knew a lot and was definitely a good person. Done. The blue-clad old man spoke casually. However, Xiao Chun could feel the bloodshed in his words. Cultivators who could reach this level could be called venerates in the Great Thousand Realms. Breaking through to the veritable personage realm and becoming a primal core realm expert was worthy of respect, regardless of one's age. Luonan felt upset in his heart. However, he still said reluctantly, Sorry, I was too rash earlier. Brother Xiao Chun, please don't take offense. As Luonan looked at the other party, the hidden meaning in Xiao Chun's words was very straightforward. Are you that nice? The female disciple named Fei smiled politely at Xiao Chun when she heard that. However, Luonan feigned indifference, not moving at all. Since ancient times, riches and honor came from danger. This person who dismantled the Black Scimitar pirate's ship with his bare hands was filled with mystery in their eyes. The blue-clad old man was an experienced person. Aside from asking for Xiao Chun's name, he did not say anything else. We should just directly kill such an existence. He definitely has the formation diagram of the pirate ship on him. That is something worth cities. The blue-clad old man smiled and said, That's easy. Please come on board for a chat. I will tell you in detail. There was an island on that star called Profound Yin Island. What is this? When Luonan heard that, he nearly vomited blood. These words were not an exaggeration at all. The sect had a Cloud Sea powerhouse, who surpassed the primal core realm, holding down the fort. It turned out that this Tianyi sect came from the enlightened Great Realm, a rank 1 sect that bordered the profound light Great Realm. The blue-clad old man waved his hand and said, Young hero, please do not misunderstand. This matter is rather complicated. Now Xiao Chun more or less understood what he understood. Ordinary Yin essence stage and Yang essence stage cultivators would not be a match for him, unless he was an outstanding talent of a sect. Chapter 1562. The blue-clad old man said indifferently, Junior brother, you still do not see things clearly enough. Although this Xiao Chun is only a veritable essence stage cultivator, he has an extraordinary air about him. Think about it. How would a regular veritable essence stage cultivator behave when they see the two of us? The half-step primal core realm expert quickly said. They would definitely be very respectful and amiable. It is normal for them to try to suck up to us if they feel uncomfortable. Before a veritable essence stage cultivator, a primal core realm cultivator was a godlike existence. The blue-clad old man nodded. What about him? He is neither servile nor overbearing, extremely calm. With one look, it is clear that he is someone who has seen a lot of things. Such a person either has a noble background or has experienced many things. He looks young, so it cannot be the latter. It can only be the former. Could he be a rank 2 sect disciple or a noble clan disciple? The half-step primal core realm old man was startled when he heard that. If that was the case, then they could not touch him. If they touched someone with a deep background, then the consequences. Yes and no. Senior brother, what do you mean? The blue-clad old man smiled strangely. It is true that he comes from a noble clan. However, look at him. He cannot even find a good baleful energy, wandering the starry heavens alone. Is there such a noble clan? Then, senior brother, stop beating around the bush. Just say what you want to say. The blue-clad old man smiled and said, ha ha ha. In that case, I'll say it directly. He is indeed a noble clan disciple, but his clan should be in dire straits. It is more likely that it was destroyed. That's why he is wandering the starry heavens, hiding from his enemies. The half-step primal core realm old man's eyes lit up. After a while he gave a thumbs up and said, Senior brother, you can even guess that. You are amazing. Given this, it explained why Xiao Chun could kill the second-in-command of the pirate group. How could such a fallen disciple not have any life-saving trump cards? This also explained why Xiao Chun's aura and bearing came from. Noble clan disciples had seen many experts since they were young. How could they be so respectful to two primal core realm cultivators? This was also why these disciples in dire straits had more treasures than ordinary loose cultivators. Just the formation diagram and formation plate of the pirate ship were enough for the two to make a move against Xiao Chun. Furthermore, there was Xiao Chun's identity. No matter how one looked at it, this white-robed bladesman was a fat lamb. The blue-clad old man smiled in an unfathomable manner. I'll get Fei'er and Luonan to interact more with him. Youths should be less wary of each other. We should be able to get some information. In that case, why did we send him to Profound Island? If his strength increases, it will be disadvantageous to us. The blue-clad old man smiled and said, You do not understand this. If we let him go to Profound Island, he can help us collect essence stones for free. This can be considered our contributions to the sect. Secondly, the intense competition on Profound Island will definitely exhaust many of his trump cards. How much can he improve? If I wasn't worried about his trump card, I could have easily crushed him. The half-step primal core realm old man smiled and said, Excellent. Senior brother, with such meticulous planning, even if that Xiao Chun had 9 heads, he would not be able to escape your grasp. Humph. This kind of person is already in decline, yet he is still proud and arrogant, believing himself infallible. He is the one who refuses to recognize reality. Now that he ran into me, I can teach him a lesson. A greedy look flashed in the blue-clad old man's eyes as he spoke in a cold voice. As the saying went, the world was dangerous. The danger was in the world, and the evil was in the human heart. Back on the deck, Fei'er and Xiao Chun chatted happily. Occasionally, bell-like laughter rang out. This made Luonan, who was following at the side, extremely jealous. He could not interrupt even if he wanted to. As Luonan looked at Xiao Chun, he hated that he could not use his gaze to kill Xiao Chun. This was Xiao Chun's first time seeing someone from the outer realm. He did not understand many of the local customs, sect grades, cultivation techniques, and divine weapons. After all, the Book of the Epics only recorded a general idea. It would not record everything in detail, no matter how big or small. Fei'er's thoughts were pure. When Xiao Chun occasionally asked questions, she would enthusiastically answer them. Xiao Chun learned that the sects were the leaders of the Great Thousand Realms. Sects were divided into 7 ranks. Below rank 7, they were all unranked sections. Any sect with a rank had at least 10,000 years of accumulations. The Tianyi sect was a rank 1 sect with a Cloud Sea Realm Supreme Elder holding down the fort. As for a rank 2 sect, it required at least 3 Cloud Sea Realm existences to be considered a rank 2 sect. Generally, second-rank sects were powerful and would control more than one great world. They did not need to be like a rank 1 sect, which controlled an entire great realm. As for rank 3 sects, they were already considered extremely strong, with divine vein realm powerhouses holding down the fort. They were absolute overlord-class existences in thousands of great realms of an astral domain. Take the Purple Sun region for example. Any random disciple of the 4 rank 3 sects would be respected by a primal core realm powerhouse. When Xiaochen heard that, he felt deeply moved. This great thousand realms truly had limitless possibilities. No wonder so many cultivators of the Kunlun realm, since ancient times, stepped onto the Kunlun road without hesitation. It was getting late, so Xiaochen took his leave to rest. He planned to think about how to deal with that blue-clad old man. Junior sister, I'll send you back. You should be tired from the battle with the pirates today. When Xiaochen finally left, Luo Nan immediately showed a smile. Senior brother Luo, master is looking for you. Just at this moment, a disciple walked out of the ship and spoke respectfully. Luo Nan felt depressed. After so much difficulty, he finally got a chance to be alone, but it was ruined again. Fei smiled and said, Senior brother, go and see master first. There is no danger on the ship. I can go back alone. Luo Nan stared at Fei's back in a daze. Senior brother, it's time to go. Oh, I'll go right away. Inside the tea room of the ship, after Luo Nan bowed, the blue-clad old man asked with a smile, Nanner, that Xiaochen spent so much time with the two of you. What did he say to you? Luo Nan could not help cursing in his heart. This Xiaochen did not say a single word to me. He chatted with junior sister the entire time. Reporting to master, that Xiaochen chatted with junior sister the entire time and did not speak to me. Luo Nan said honestly, even though he felt somewhat upset. The blue-clad old man said, Yes. What did they say? Luo Nan nodded and repeated what junior sister Fei said, word for word. The more the blue-clad old man and the half-step primal core realm old man heard, the more they felt that something was wrong. Why did this sound like they were exposing their wealth? They told Xiaochen everything about the Tianyi sect's situation. Fei even gave Xiaochen a simple summary of the two's strength. However, Xiaochen's tone showed great respect for the two old men. The moment he heard it, he knew that it was a careless remark. Stop right there. Who's asking you all this? I'm asking what that Xiaochen said. The half-step primal core realm old man rudely interrupted Luo Nan with a cold expression. Luo Nan spoke happily. He remembered his junior sister's words. Zhang Xian was stunned by the interruption. Ask Xiaochen? He couldn't wait to kill that brat, so how could he remember what that brat said? Tell me, what did Xiaochen say? Don't leave out a single word. The blue-robed old man said expressionlessly. Aye. Sensing that his master and martial uncle were somewhat angry, Luo Nan flushed red. However, no matter how hard he tried, he could not remember what Xiaochen said. Master, martial uncle, I really can't remember. Please punish me. Plop. Luo Nan fell to his knees, not daring to raise his head. Trash. What are you thinking in your head? Get out of my sight. The blue-clad old man felt enraged as he waved his hand to chase Luo Nan away. Luo Nan felt so frustrated that he wanted to vomit blood. He had been suppressing a belly full of anger in the first place. When he finally got a chance to be alone with his junior sister, his master and martial uncle called him over and ruthlessly lectured him. What is going on? Luo Nan felt so depressed that he wanted to cry. The blue-clad old man could not be blamed for being angry. Originally, he wanted to dig out Xiaochen's background with the two of them. Who could have imagined that they would not dig out anything? Instead, they ended up exposing their own background. Who could not be angry? Senior brother, this brat is somewhat difficult to deal with. The blue-clad old man showed an unfriendly expression as he snorted coldly. This brat is somewhat skilled. However, he chose the wrong opponent to fight with me. Just wait and see. Chapter 1563. Xiao Chun was dancing on the edge of a knife. The world was dangerous, and the human heart was hard to fathom. Xiao Chun had understood this many years ago. Previously, Xiao Chun had no value in the other party's eyes. Hence, the only comment he received was scram. The word scram was very clever. Only round things could scram. Humans were not round. They were straight. When a person said scram, the subconscious thought was, if you don't scram, I'll make you scram. When Xiao Chun tore apart the black scimitar pirate's ship with his bare hands, the blue-clad old man's attitude changed drastically. Of course, it was not because Xiao Chun had saved him. In fact, Xiao Chun had not even thought of saving the blue-clad old man. It would be foolish to expect a person who could say scram to understand gratitude. Naturally, Xiao Chun knew that this person had ulterior motives. However, since he wanted to obtain the baleful energy, he had no choice but to take the risk and fight with him. The fortress ship was divided into 10 odd rooms of various sizes. In the room that belonged to Xiao Chun, he raised his head and looked around, entering deep thought. In this place, any movement would not escape the blue-clad old man's eyes. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chun brought out the power of his ice domain. Immediately, snowflakes filled the room, and cold chi spread out. The space in the room immediately turned blurry. Amid the drifting snowflakes, Xiao Chun looked like he was cultivating with his eyes closed. The blue-clad old man and the half-step primal core realm old man, who were observing Xiao Chun, exchanged glances. They both saw fear in each other's eyes. What strong ice-attributed energy! He probably comprehended a domain. The half-step primal core realm old man said. Although the cultivators of the Great Thousand Realms had higher cultivations than those of the Kunlun realm, they could not compare to Kunlun realm cultivators in terms of wills and domains. The reason was simple. The Kunlun realm's martial cultivation was limited. Most cultivators could not advance further, and could only focus on wills and other aspects. However, the cultivators of the Great Thousand Realms did not have such restrictions. As they cultivated, they spent most of their time on their cultivation. Life was limited. It was inevitable that there would be gains and losses. It looks like his primary cultivation technique should be ice-attributed. We should pay more attention to him. After the blue-clad old man understood the situation, he no longer paid much attention to it. Although the ice domain was powerful, the difference in cultivation was too great. It was not something that could be made up for with just the ice domain. In truth, Xiao Chun was cultivating the divine lightning eye amidst the hazy frost chi. The third layer of the divine lightning eye was clearly unable to threaten an existence at the level of the blue-robed old man. At the very least, it had to be at the fourth layer. As for the fourth layer, it was a qualitative change for the divine lightning eye. Being able to overlap the first 3 lightning tribulations would result in 6 lightning tribulations, and its might would increase by several times. The blue-robed old man would never have imagined that, compared to the ice domain, the lightning Tao was his main cultivation. Furthermore, they would not have imagined that Xiao Chun was someone who comprehended the complete saber Tao. Half a month later, the ship stopped in the air above a star near the profound light great world. This was the mystic Een star. Most of the surface of the star was the Dead Sea, which was unsuitable for ordinary creatures to live in. There was only one piece of land. It was profound Een Island. The Tianyi sect disciples all came out from the deck and looked at the island below. Those with good eyesight could see that the terrain of the island was very complicated. There were many steep mountains and complicated valleys. Vaguely, a terrifying aura lingered in the air above the island, not scattering. The blue-robed old man walked out and called over Xiao Chun and the other 2. You all can go down first. According to the rules, our ships can only circle in the air. When Luonan heard that, he felt somewhat shocked. We are going down ourselves. That's right. It's all the same. This unwritten rule has been around for many years. After we go down, there is a gathering point of the various sects on the island. You will know everything when you go there. Fei looked at the blue-robed old man somewhat nervously and asked, Master, what do we need to pay attention to? The blue-robed old man smiled warmly and said, Little brother Xiao Chun, I'll let you know. There are some things that I can't say. Xiao Chun looked at the blue-robed old man. feeling somewhat confused. Little brother Xiao Chun, these two disciples of mine have not experienced much wind and rain. I'll leave them to you to take care of Profound Een Island. When Luonan heard that, he felt unconvinced. Master, don't worry. I will definitely take good care of junior sister. Our Tianyi sect does not need to rely on outsiders. How dare you say that? The blue-robed old man reprimanded Luonan with a stern expression. Then he looked at Xiao Chun and said, Don't mind. Little brother Xiao Chun, I'll leave everything to you. Seeing the blue-robed old man's sincere appearance, most people would find it hard not to let down their guard. Xiao Chun did not say anything, only nodding slightly. Go on then. Don't embarrass the Tianyi sect. The three of them flew off the warship and landed on a flat land on Profound Een Island. Just at this moment, two cultivators wearing blue armor from the gathering point on the mountain peak shouted coldly, Who are you? What business do you have on Profound Een Island? When Luonan and Fei heard this, they felt the other party's domineering attitude. Come to think of it, this should be an expert from another sect stationed here. Before Luonan could rage, Xiao Chun stepped forward and said, We are disciples of the Tianyi sect. We are here to search for baleful Een energy. The Tianyi sect? Hand over the Tianyi sect identity token. We want to verify your identity. After the two blue-armored cultivators checked, they looked at Xiao Chun and asked, You are Yi Bai? This identity token belonged to another Tianyi sect disciple. The words Yi Bai were carved on the back. Xiao Chun nodded and said, I am Yi Bai. How can I help you? It's nothing. You do not seem to have a high cultivation. Unexpectedly, you are the leader. It is just strange. Come with us. After returning the identity tokens to the three, the two turned around and left. The group traveled on the mountain path like it was flat ground. One could often see cultivators wearing similar armor on this peak. Xiao Chun discovered that this blue armor contained a gentle fire-attributed energy. It should be used to resist baleful Een energy. The three of you listen up. As the cultivator leading the way walked, he said, This Profound Een Island opens to the public once a year. Right now, it does not belong to any sect. Everyone is equal when they enter. Everyone has to do things according to the rules here. Otherwise, they will have to bear the consequences. Luonan felt very upset when he heard this, wanting to rebut a few times. Fei felt somewhat nervous. However, when she saw Xiao Chun's calm expression, she felt more at ease. There are not many rules here, just 3. First, you can stay here for only 1 month. After 1 month, you have to return to this gathering point. Second, there are no rules in the competition of the same generation. You can use all means. Third, if you have any grudges, you have to forget them after you come out. Fei's expression turned somewhat unsightly. She whispered, Is the competition that intense? It is just baleful Een energy, yet it is so cruel. Xiao Chun retorted indifferently, Cruel? When this Profound Een Island was first discovered, the fight between the various sects was probably 10 times crueler than this. Baleful Een energy and baleful Yang energy were too important to cultivators in the veritable essence stage. Cultivators of this realm were the foundation of a sect. The importance of Profound Een Island to these sects went without saying. It would be strange if the competition for such a strategic location was not cruel. At this moment, Luonan became much more reserved. Junior sister, this place cannot be compared to the Tianyi sect. Be careful. Fei nodded and did not say anything more. Xiao Chun, Luonan, and Fei followed. Soon they arrived at the highest point of the peak. There were many stone houses scattered in the area not far from the gathering point. The disciples of the other sects are already living in those stone houses. You can choose anyone that is empty. When everyone is here, you can formally explore Profound Een Island. After saying that, the 2 armored cultivators headed for the gathering point. Most of the stone houses were already occupied by cultivators. The 3 casually chose one, not picky in this regard. This one. Luonan pointed to a desolate stone house and immediately went in. After entering, the 3 each chose a corner and sat down to rest. Now that there was no one around, Fei asked out of curiosity, Xiao Chun, My master said that there are places to take note of. He wanted you to tell us what we need to take note of. After saying that, Luonan looked at Xiaochun as well. Although he did not like Xiaochun, he was also somewhat curious. Why did their master get an outsider to teach them? Xiaochun looked at the two and saw the word inexperienced on their faces. After thinking for a while, Xiaochun said, "It is useless to say it now. When the time comes, we will naturally know." Acting all mysterious, Luonan muttered. Then he closed his eyes and ignored Xiaochun. Fei glanced at Xiaochun. She kept feeling that this person was unfathomable. However, her intuition told her that Xiaochun could be trusted. On an early morning 7 days later, all sect disciples heed my orders. Profound Een Island is officially open. The voice boomed in the ears of the three, rumbling like thunder. Xiaochun, Luonan, and Luonan felt stifled, feeling somewhat uncomfortable from this voice. Chapter 1564. This person is very strong. He is probably a major primal core cultivator. Xiaochun frowned and murmured in his heart. The core cloud realm had only 2 stages, minor primal core and major primal core. The difference in strength was like the difference between heaven and earth, like the difference between clouds and mud. Although the blue-robed old man was strong, he was only a minor primal core cultivator. The pressure he felt from this voice was far inferior. Under the urging of the voice, the disciples of the various sects who came to search for the Een fiends walked out of the stone houses. Xiaochun casually looked around and found that there were about 100 people. Some sects sent more than 10 people at once. It was extremely rare for sects like the Tianyi sect to send only 1 or 2 people. After checking, Xiaochun understood. In terms of strength and talent, the Tianyi sect's Fei and Luonan were among the best of this group of people. It seemed that the Tianyi sect was a sect that pursued an elite policy. Actually, during the battle on the pirate ship, Xiaochun had already discovered that although the two of them were only at the veritable essence stage, they were able to fight against mini-Een essence stage pirates. He had both talent and strength, but he lacked some experience in the Jianghu. Most of the sect disciples who came to search for baleful Een energy were at the Een essence stage. Only a few were at the veritable essence stage. Xiaochun pondered, it seems that in this place, the true element boundary is the real master. So. From the stronghold on the mountain peak, 3 figures flew over like lightning, coldly looking at Xiaochun and the other disciples who were about to enter the hinterland of mystic Een Island. The leader of the group of 3 was a white-haired, black-robed old man. His entire body was filled with an austere aura. Everyone, including Xiaochun, felt an invisible pressure, like a tiger looking at its prey. A major origin core realm expert. Xiaochun thought to himself that his previous guess was indeed correct. An expert of this level was truly frighteningly strong. Just a glance from him was enough to make him shudder. The white-haired, black-clad old man's gaze was like a sharp blade wherever it passed. It made people feel as if there was a blade in front of their eyes. His head was spinning, and he didn't dare to look him in the eye. Xiaochun did not dare to be careless. He restrained his aura and avoided the old man's gaze. Mystic Een Island opens once a year. Now all of you can enter the interior of Mystic Een Island. Everyone listened quietly, not daring to be presumptuous. Profound Een Island is a blessed land with ferocious beasts that are terrifyingly strong. Don't let your guard down. There are strange beasts guarding the Een specters, so you have to act according to your own strength. After pausing for a while, the white-haired, black-clad old man pointed into the distance. The interior of Profound Een Island is in this direction, about 500,000 kilometers away. Later, there will be a transportation formation to send you there. Back then, over a dozen sects fought over this Profound Een Island, and many people died. You juniors should cherish this opportunity. Now, I will check your identities for the last time. What sect do you come from? Tell me your strength. If you lie, I'll kill you without mercy. The white-haired old man's gaze landed on a young man and he said, You first. I am Wei He from the Clear Feather sect. I am at the middle stage of the Een essence realm. Before the white-haired old man's gaze, no one dared to lie. The various sect disciples stepped forward and reported their backgrounds in detail. Fei and Luo Nan both felt worried for Xiaochen. If Xiaochen gave himself away, not only would he suffer, but he would also implicate the two of them, and even the Tianyi sect. Yi Bai from the Tianyi sect. I am at the peak of the veritable essence realm, Xiaochen said calmly before the white-haired old man's gaze. Yi Bai? The white-haired old man exchanged glances with the two people beside him. Their gazes revealed a trace of surprise, clearly shocked. It's over. Luo Nan's body trembled slightly, and his expression sank in anxiety. However, Xiaochen remained calm. He believed that he did not give himself away. The Tianyi sect is truly incredible. You have been in this veritable essence realm for many years already, right? The white-haired old man asked seriously as he looked at Xiaochen with a sharp gaze. Xiaochen nodded, and a sharp light appeared in his eyes. I have been sharpening my sword for 3 years, and today, I will not advance to the Yin essence realm, unless I obtain the best baleful Yin energy. The moment Xiaochen said that, he attracted the attention of several people. Good. You are ambitious. I hope you will gain something on Profound Yin Island. Go down then. The white-haired old man, and the two people beside him did not notice anything strange. They only felt that the veritable essence energy in Xiaochen's body was unusually dense and dense. Xiaochen's cultivation was incredibly stable, far surpassing that of the sect disciples here. The sect disciples here were all elites of the various sections. However, Xiaochen still stood out from the rest. This was what shocked the two people. Normally, such people were proud and arrogant. They believed that they would definitely be able to spread their wings and soar into the sky in the future. Before advancing to the veritable personage realm, they would properly temper themselves. Before obtaining the best baleful Yin energy and baleful Yang energy, they would not advance rashly. Seeing Xiaochen settle down, Fei and Luo Nan heaved a sigh of relief. Luo Nan thought to himself, this fellow does not look like much, but his acting is pretty good. You report your name. Lotus Sect's disciple, Feng Yun, peaking essence stage. Just at this moment, another person reported his sect. Xiaochen frowned slightly and said, Buddhist sect disciple? Xiaochen felt a familiar aura from that Feng Yun. Fei smiled and said, does Big Brother Xiaochen not know? The Lotus Sect's disciple is a rank 1 sect subordinate to the Black Lotus Church. They come from the same great realm as our Tianyi sect. The Black Lotus Church. This startled Xiaochen. However, his expression did not change, not saying anything. It should just be a coincidence. There could not be such a coincidence. The Black Lotus Church should not have discovered his tracks so quickly. Even so, he still needed to be cautious. After the 100-odd people verified that there was no mistake, they were all given a jade strip. The jade strip had been refined. Only the person holding the jade strip could enter Profound Yin Island's interior. After putting away the jade strip, the group of people lined up and entered the transportation formation. While waiting, there were people in the surroundings. Luo Nan and Fei discussed the various dangers of Profound Yin Island's interior in whispers. I heard from my senior brothers in the sect that the environment of this Profound Yin Island's interior is very complicated. There are swamps, mountains, rivers, and ferocious beasts lurking everywhere. This is especially so for places with baleful Yin energy. There will definitely be ferocious beasts, even core cloud realm ferocious beasts. Fei exclaimed in shock. That can't be right. There are even venerate level ferocious beasts? There are. Suddenly, a handsome-looking disciple came over, and the three of them hurriedly looked over. The three of you. I am the Clear Feather Sect's Wei He. So it was the first person to introduce himself. Unexpectedly, they were all lined up together. After the other party introduced himself, the three had to do the same. Yi Bai, just call me by my name, Xiaochen said calmly. How would I dare? How would I dare? Big Brother Yi is someone that even the island's guardian elder views in a different light. Wei He quickly replied humbly. Luo Nan looked at the other party and asked, earlier, you also said that there are primal core level ferocious beasts. How did you know? It is just a legend. According to legend, the best baleful Yin energy on this Profound Yin Island has already existed for 10,000 years, and is guarded by primal core-level ferocious beasts. That's impossible. The island's guardian elder already hunted down the 10,000-year-old peak-grade baleful Een energy long ago. How could it be our turn? Wei He smiled mysteriously. There is something you do not know. No one knows where that 10,000-year-old baleful Een energy is. According to legend, that baleful Een energy already has its own intelligence and can fly. How did you know? Xiao Chen asked out of curiosity. Wei He smiled and said, the Clear Feather sect is in the profound light great realm. Naturally we know some secrets. However, this is just a legend. Many people who were tempted by it and blindly pursued it ended up with nothing. We wasted 1 month for nothing. Everyone just listen to me. Xiao Chen entered deep thought. If there was really such a thing, perhaps he might have a chance. His dragon-seeking secret skill could also be of some use in searching for gloomy specters. Of course, this was just wishful thinking. Xiao Chen did not think that he could leave this profound Een island safely after obtaining the 10,000-year-old baleful Een energy. It was better to focus on some peak-grade baleful Een energy. Chapter 1565. Soon it was Xiao Chen's group's turn. They stepped onto the transportation formation and light flickered. 500,000 kilometers passed in the blink of an eye. When they reappeared, they were at a small transportation formation on a mountain peak. A few old men stood guard by the transportation formation. Remember, you only have 1 month. After 1 month, you have to leave. If you run into danger along the way and want to give up, you can come here in advance to receive protection. The few old men gave their final instructions. Xiao Chen's group looked around and saw a swamp below the center of profound Een Island. Rivers crisscrossed in the distance. Farther away, there seemed to be boundless mountains. The 3 of you, do you want to form a team? The center of profound Een Island is filled with danger. It would be better for us to take care of each other. Wei He smiled at Xiao Chen's group of 3. Senior brother, big brother Xiao, what do you think? Fei felt somewhat tempted. After all, 1 more person meant 1 more force. Luonan looked at this Wei He. He looked handsome and had an extraordinary air. Before Xiao Chen could answer, he quickly rejected, there's no need. Wei He smiled and said, that is really unfortunate. Let's part ways here. After the group left, Fei said, Senior brother, why did you reject him so quickly? After all, it is a kind gesture from him. Luonan opened his mouth to say something. However, he found that he could not say anything reasonable. Xiao Chen said calmly, although this way he looks friendly, he came with the sect. However, he did not leave with his fellow sect members. Either he is used to being alone, or he has a bad reputation, so his fellow sect members are not willing to bother with him. Luonan nodded and said, that's right. Senior brother, my eyes are very sharp. I noticed that this fellow was up to no good long ago. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen, you also noticed something suspicious. You have some good eyes. Xiao Chen smiled and did not say anything. He looked around, observing the geomancy of the surroundings. Baleful Een energy was called Earth Ghost in geomancy. It was an extremely ominous existence. Aside from some special tombs, such things would not exist near dragon veins. The more dangerous the geomancy of a place, the more likely it was to have baleful Een energy. Wuxia. Xiao Chen flew into the sky. Without Luonan and Fei noticing, he silently opened his heavenly eye. Within 100,000 li radius, the mountains and rivers, the grass, the trees, the flowers, the birds, the insects, and the beasts, as well as the busy disciples of the various sects, everything could be seen. Xiao Chen quickly recalled the records of the dangerous geomancy lands in the Paradise Secret Canon, matching them to the terrain before him. This place is really strange. It's actually a land of death. Could it be that this mysterious Een star itself is an ominous star? Shaking his head, Xiao Chen retracted his heavenly eye and slowly descended to the ground. Big brother Xiao Chen, what are you looking at? Fei asked curiously. Xiao Chen said honestly, let me see if I can find some places where baleful Een energy is hidden. So godly? Yin energy is hidden underground. Could it be that your eyes can see through it? Everyone relies on luck to find baleful yin energy. When you reach a place where baleful yin energy is hidden, you will naturally sense it. Luonan did not fall for Xiao Chen's trick. He said in disdain, "Junior sister, if you follow me, I guarantee that you will find good baleful yin energy." Xiao Chen did not refute. Luonan was right. This was how the sect disciples of Profound Yin Island searched for baleful yin energy. However, this method was not only inefficient, but it also could not find baleful yin energy that was more than 1,000 years old. As time passed, the baleful yin energy absorbed increased, and the baleful yin energy would continuously sink. Even when the baleful yin energy was deep underground, the baleful yin energy that could be sensed was mostly 100 years old or several hundred years old. After looking in a direction, Xiao Chen walked over based on his memory. Xiao Chen remembered that there was a dangerous geomancy land in the northwest. The land was away from the sun, and the surroundings were steep. Scattered starlight fell from the sky, surrounding many withered trees. "Senior brother, follow big brother Xiao. Trust him." After Fei reminded Xiao Chen, she followed after Xiao Chen. "You want me to follow him? Dream on," Luonan said furiously, feeling incredibly frustrated. After about 7 minutes, Luonan, who was at the back of the group, silently followed behind Xiao Chen and Fei with a sullen expression. Fei smiled and said, "Senior brother, didn't you say you wouldn't come?" Luonan blushed slightly. I was just worried about junior sister's safety." Fei covered her mouth and giggled endlessly, making Luonan feel even more embarrassed. After a long time, Xiao Chen stopped in front of a flat ground. Xiao Chen raised his head to look at the sky, then at the surrounding terrain. Then, he made some calculations in his heart. Xiao Chen was confident in using feng shui to find spirit veins and tombs. However, he did not dare to be careless when searching for baleful yin energy. He could only say that there was a high possibility. Success or failure depended on luck. However, one thing was certain. Either he couldn't find it, or once Xiao Chen found it, the yin energy was definitely more than 1,000 years old. Therefore, even if there were occasional mistakes, it could be tolerated. "There is baleful yin energy in this place? Junior sister, you don't really believe it, right?" Luonan closed his eyes and sensed. Not to mention the aura of baleful yin energy, he did not even feel yin-attributed energy. Fei rolled her eyes at Luonan. Then she looked at Xiao Chen and asked, "Big brother Xiao Chen, is there really baleful yin energy in this place?" Xiao Chen answered honestly, "I don't dare to be sure either. I can only say that there is a chance." "In that case, let's give it a try. Big brother Xiao Chen, what should we do?" Fei encouraged Xiao Chen. She rather trusted him. Xiao Chen smiled and said, "You should just call me Yi Bai here. It would not be good to give myself away." Fei stuck out her tongue and said, "All right, I understand, senior brother Yi Bai. Junior sister, let's go quickly. We cannot waste any more time. It would be too unfortunate if we do not find a single baleful yin energy in 1 month." Fei smiled and said, "Let's give it a try. Senior brother, go and help out. Senior brother Yi Bai, it's time to make a move." Luonan was not willing. However, since Fei gave the order, he could not disobey. Luonan drew out a divine weapon, infused his veritable essence energy into it, and stabbed it down. The ground immediately cracked, giving off loud sounds. Luonan, who was responsible for keeping watch, quickly sent out a hand seal. Space trembled slightly, scattering the loud sounds in the air. It was not enough to startle everyone. Xiao Chen glanced at Luonan and smiled to himself. This person really listened to his junior sister. Even though Luonan clearly did not like Xiao Chen, he still did his best to keep watch. As the crack in the ground deepened, there was still no baleful yin energy. Fei slowly revealed a disappointed expression. "Haha, how is it? I told you that there is no baleful yin energy, right?" Luonan said with a smile at some point in time, revealing a cocky expression. Fei gave Luonan a strange look. "Senior brother, why are you so happy that there is no baleful yin energy? Could it be that you are not here to search for baleful yin energy?" "Of course not," Luonan quickly denied. Then why are you smiling? Seeing Fei Er's innocent eyes, Luonan could no longer smile. If he continued, he would become a fool again. You two stand guard above for a while. I'll go down and take a look. Xiao Chun, who had been staring down, did not hear what the two said. Right after he spoke, he jumped down. This startled Luonan and Fei Er. The environment of Profound Een Island's interior was complicated, even more dangerous than the surface. How could he jump down on a whim? Junior sister, stand guard. I'll go down and take a look. This fellow is too rash. Fei Er nodded and said, in that case, senior brother, be careful. Luonan smiled faintly and said, don't worry. This senior brother is not as rash as that white-clad brat. I will definitely be fine. The crack was very deep. The further down he went, the heavier the cold chi and inattributed energy. When Luonan landed, he fell heavily. It turned out that Luonan had not noticed the cold chi. His legs had already gone numb, and he could not feel anything before he touched anything. The moment Luonan touched the ground, he fell over and over. When Luonan managed to stand up after much difficulty, he saw a white figure flash in front, so he quickly gave chase. Bang! Luonan only cared about chasing after Xiao Chun, not knowing to lower his head. So his head crashed into the wall again. As Luonan chased after Xiao Chun, he panted. Even after putting in all his effort, he could only see a white figure. The underground environment was very complicated, so Luonan suffered a lot as he stumbled around. Fortunately, he did not run into any ferocious beasts as he followed Xiao Chun. After some time, Luonan sensed that the white figure in front finally stopped. Luonan's eyes lit up, and he rushed over. Ignoring his aching body, tattered clothes and sorry state, he panted. I finally found you. Follow me so cold, what's going on? Suddenly, Luonan felt that something was wrong. Only then did he discover the corpse of a ferocious beast in front of Xiao Chun. The entire area was filled with inattributed energy. Even Luonan felt a chill in his bones. Luonan looked around and saw a black, sinister wind silently gathering at the limits of the area, giving off a cold light. Baleful Een energy. Chapter 1566. Luonan shivered when he verified that he did not see wrong. There really was a clump of baleful Een energy in front. Based on the light it gave off and its color, it was definitely at least 1,000 years old. Then Luonan swept his gaze across the ferocious beast corpse in front of Xiao Chun, feeling somewhat incredulous. To think that Xiao Chun dealt with the ferocious beast guarding the baleful Een energy in such a short time. Xiao Chun turned his head and glanced at Luonan. Finding it strange, he asked, how did you end up like this? Luonan's clothes were tattered, and he looked haggard. Scratches covered his face. The other party had been following behind Luonan, but there had been no battle. Who knew? The moment Xiao Chun said that, Luonan immediately became angry. This fellow. If not for him, how could I end up in such a sorry state? To think that he even asked why. He must be doing this on purpose to anger me. Senior brother Luonan, senior brother Xiao Chun, are you there? Just as Luonan was about to lose his temper, his junior sister's voice rang out from behind. Luonan glared at Xiao Chun and said, the interior of Profound Een Island is incredibly dangerous. If not on account of junior sister, I definitely would not care about you. I won't bother with you this time. After saying that, Luonan turned around to lead Fei Er over. 1,000-year-old baleful Een energy? After seeing the baleful Een energy, Fei Er's expression filled with pleasant surprise. Senior brother Yi Bai, you really found it. You are really incredible. Luonan coughed a few times to show that he had found it as well. Fei Er smiled and said, senior brother Luonan is incredible as well. It was not easy for you to be injured to this extent. Fei Er glanced at the ferocious beast corpse in front, and then at Luonan's injuries. Her first impression was that Luonan killed the ferocious beast. Xiao Chun smiled and did not refute. Feeling embarrassed, Luonan quickly changed the topic. This 1,000-year-old baleful Een energy is sufficient for the three of us to advance to the Een essence stage at the same time. With such a high-quality baleful Een energy, The quality of the Yin essence energy we condense will definitely be extraordinary. Xiao Chen shook his head and said, we need to ensure that the baleful Yin energy is complete for it to bring out its greatest effect. After refining a complete strand of Yin energy, the primordial Yin energy will be even purer. When the time comes, the primordial core that I condense will also be of a higher grade. This was what Xiao Chen had seen in the Book of the Epics. However, most cultivators rarely had such conditions. Ordinary cultivators used Yin essence stones. Being able to absorb Yin essence energy from baleful Yin energy was already a great blessing. Who would dare to think of refining the complete baleful Yin energy? Only the elite disciples of third-rank sects, the disciples of great clans, or the peerless geniuses who possessed the bloodline of the desolate era, could have such conditions. Luonan immediately said angrily, you aren't thinking of monopolizing this baleful Yin energy, right? Fei quickly advised, senior brother, don't be angry. Big brother Xiao Chen definitely does not mean that. Xiao Chen's expression was calm. He took 2 steps back and said, choose for yourselves. This baleful Yin energy is not suitable for me. The moment Xiao Chen said that, Luonan and Fei immediately felt stunned. I already said that big brother Xiao Chen is not that kind of person, right? You still do not believe me. Fei said as she rolled her eyes at Luonan, making Luonan feel very uncomfortable. Senior brother, your talent is higher than mine. You can refine this baleful Yin energy. Remember to apologize to big brother Xiao Chen later. Junior sister, how can I do that? Furthermore, I cannot apologize to him. What's wrong? You are not going to listen to me? Behind, Xiao Chen smiled faintly as he watched the two speak. Since coming out of the Kunlun realm, he had felt a rare warmth from the two. This baleful Yin energy was indeed not suitable for him. His goal was very clear. He needed a baleful Yin energy that was at least 5,000 years old. To become a deity, one had to first become a human. In the veritable personage realm, one had to lay a good foundation. It was better to have nothing than to have something substandard. The process of refining baleful Yin energy was an extremely dangerous process. If one was not careful, one might suffer a backlash from the baleful Yin energy. This would injure all the meridians in one's body. Hence, one needed someone to protect them. Fei accompanied Xiao Chen the entire time. Taking advantage of this time, Xiao Chen continued to cultivate the Divine Lightning Eye's 4th layer. Aside from refining the Cycle Throne, Xiao Chen spent most of his time on the ship on cultivating the Divine Lightning Eye. Xiao Chen could already layer 6 lightning tribulations. However, he was not very familiar with them. His success rate was not high yet, so it could not be considered a true breakthrough. More importantly, there were too many people watching, so he could not truly execute it. Xiao Chen, little yellow feather is about to wake up. It can already communicate with me. Just at this moment, Ao Jiao's voice suddenly came from the immortal spirit ring. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. Then he revealed a smile on his face. This little fellow is finally coming out. It looks like the solar true flame of the Zodiac Hall is still somewhat effective. Originally, Xiao Chen thought that he would have to wait another 100 years. Being able to wake up so quickly was a pleasant surprise. Hehe. It told me that when it woke up this time, it even recovered some of its memories from its previous life. Take good care of it first. Remember, don't let it mess around. This place is not that difficult. Yes. Half a day later, Xiao Chen suddenly felt a strong aura spreading out. The vast veritable essence energy contained an extremely cold energy. Everywhere it passed, a layer of frost covered the surface of the cave. Crack, crack. When the cold wind blew, countless frozen rocks fell down and turned into ice shards flying everywhere. It looked like countless snowflakes drifted in the cave. Xiao Chen opened his eyes, and 6 spinning purple petals flashed in his right eye. Success. Luonan successfully refined this 1,000-year-old baleful Yin energy, and formally advanced to the Yin essence stage. As an elite disciple of the Tianyi sect, Luonan had been stuck at the veritable essence stage for more than a year, unable to advance. Now that he finally had this opportunity, refining a complete strand of baleful Yin energy, his strength naturally soared. Xiao Chen slowly stood up, and the frost covering his body fell off, unable to penetrate his physical body. Junior sister, I successfully refined this strand of baleful yin energy. Luo Nan's complexion glowed, and the injuries on his face vanished. His aura seemed to have changed significantly. Fei smiled and said, I just knew that senior brother could do it. Quickly, go and apologize to big brother Xiao Chen. If not for him, how could you have such an opportunity? You should know that not just anyone can enjoy a complete baleful yin energy, even a rank 3 sect disciple. At this moment, Luo Nan felt incredibly confident. As he looked at Xiao Chen, he was filled with the pride of a superior. In the past, Luo Nan found Xiao Chen pleasing to the eye. Now he felt that Xiao Chen was not a match for him at all, that they were not on the same level. Apologizing to Xiao Chen was no big deal. Luo Nan casually stepped forward and smiled. Sorry for the earlier offense. Xiao Chen sorry. Xiao Chen's expression remained calm. As he looked at the other party, he nodded and said, Congratulations. For some reason, when Luo Nan heard these two simple words, he felt his pride vanish without a trace. After the three collected all the nearby yin essence stones, they walked out of the crack. By the time they came out, the sky was already dark. The three set up a bonfire and decided to rest for the night. Xiao Chen stood up and said, I'll stand guard. There's no need. Let senior brother Luo Nan stand guard. Senior brother Yi Bai should be rather tired today, Faber said quickly, not wanting Xiao Chen to be so tired. Luo Nan also volunteered, saying, Xiao Chen just rests well. With my current strength, it would be more suitable for me to stand guard. Xiao Chen smiled to himself. Since this person wants to fight, let him. Stars dotted the sky, and the night sky was beautiful. By the bonfire, Xiao Chen took out a flask of wine and started drinking alone. The wine was the 1,000-year flame that Mo Chen brewed. However, he did not feel happy drinking it today, feeling somewhat bitter. He wondered how his old friends in the Kunlun realm were doing. Fei's bright eyes looked bright in the night. As she looked at Xiao Chen, she asked, Senior brother Yi Bai, why do you always look like you have something on your mind? Something on my mind? Xiao Chen did not deny it. Then, he left the familiar Kunlun realm alone. Thinking about his old friends who died in the demonic calamity, he felt like it was yesterday. The great 1,000 realms were boundless and boundless. He deeply understood how insignificant he was. He felt lonely, sad, and somewhat hesitant. How could he let go of these? There was also the Black Lotus Church, the faction that caused the demonic calamity in the Kunlun realm. He did not know when he would be able to uproot it. He also did not know if elder sister Ryua was doing well. Xiao Chen changed the topic. He smiled and said, Junior sister Fei seems to like senior brother Luo Nan a lot. Fei blushed and said somewhat helplessly, even big brother Xiao Chen, an outsider, can tell. However, senior brother Luo Nan cannot. However, everything about senior brother Luo Nan is good. He is just somewhat. Somewhat what? He lacks some of his manliness. I like great heroes. Senior brother is sometimes somewhat childish. Xiao Chen smiled and said, One day, he will become a great hero for you. Fei squinted slightly. Her large eyes, which had some baby fat on her face, looked exceptionally cute. I hope so. At the same time, the half-step primal core realm old man on the Tianysex ship received a piece of top-secret news. When the blue-clad old man heard it, his expression turned grave. Is this news true? This news was simply too shocking. Unexpectedly, the sect sent a portrait saying that this person was wanted by the Black Lotus Church, and told them to keep an eye out for him. It is absolutely true. The news came from the Lotus sect leader. He accidentally leaked it to our great 1,000 realms. Rumor has it that the Black Lotus Church has already issued a bounty for all its subordinate factions. The blue-clad old man said gravely. To think that this fellow actually has a connection to a huge faction like the Black Lotus Church. Senior brother, what should we do? Should we continue fighting? There's no need. Although we are not a subordinate faction of the Black Lotus Church, we will still be rewarded for killing him. For the sake of the Black Lotus Church's rewards, we can bear this price. The blue-clad old man said coldly and emotionlessly. A murderous intent flashed in the blue-clad old man's eyes as he spoke coldly. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.